G'day, battlers, and welcome to the recap of the Day 2 Melbourne 2024 regional stream. We've got all of the battles. It may not be live. It's actually been less than a week, which is a little bit wild since these battles played out, the second regional of the Oceanic season. But who better to go through this journey of the top four than these top four humans, which I guess I've included myself in that, but I guess I'll take fourth place. But we have to the this way, someone who is in the Melbourne top four, Rocket Claire. We've got Dr. Trotter, and we have Mikey Morgs, who is present, but his camera's going to come later. It's showing up fashionably late, but welcome in, everyone. I guess Claire, as someone who is coming into this as someone who is part of the top four, I guess we should say we're not spoiling the result yet. If you know, you know, but we'll sort of find out the results as we pass through. But someone who is at a minimum fourth place going into day two, how exciting is this for you to sort of be able to share everything that's gone on with everyone out there?
Oh, yeah, it's really exciting. Thanks, Steve. It's wonderful that we had people on hand who were prepared to do all the work of doing the recording of the battles. Obviously, it's not the most ideal scenario, but thank goodness we can still showcase these battles because they were all really close and exciting, and it was a fantastic day. So yeah, I'm really keen to be here and add a few comments here and there about my thoughts and feelings on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Trotter, you weren't able to be there in person, but you're there with us in spirit, right?
Oh man, I was projecting my FOMO vibes down to Melbourne. I was in every chat, trying to get people for results and updates, and I was mildly offended that people didn't personally FaceTime me to the battles like I did with other competitors in Brisbane. But that's okay. I'm not too salty about that. No, it was awesome, and even though I couldn't see anything. Literally just the people who were saying, oh, 2-1, really close battle. This. Oh, it was won by this. It sounds like these were intense, super tight, close. I haven't seen anything, so I'm really pumped to see what we've got on show today.
Yeah, Crit is actually in chat saying that he would have if he wasn't battling. So, if only, as the person you were FaceTiming it to, if only he wasn't so busy performing well in the regional championship. Maybe next time. But also, Mikey Morgs, hopefully you're still there because we've got no way of knowing, but also someone who was at the Melbourne Regional Championships and was sort of part of our peanut gallery watching in on the top four. How is the sort of event for you?
It was fantastic. Good day, good morning to everybody. It was sensational. Even from sign-in on the Friday, I finished top 16. Unfortunately, my group had Yakko, Rick, and Averick. So two of the top four were two that beat me, coming from our group. But it was a great day. It was really well run. And, we managed to get all 5 seasons of weather from Victoria and Melbourne on that day, on that weekend as well. We had 13 to 17 degrees on the Friday night. We had really pleasant 25 to 30 degrees on the Saturday, and then up to 39 on the Sunday, which was sensational. So happy days. Oh, look at that. Now you can see me.
He's even made an appearance, but yeah, I only top 16, still running away with the championship points as well. But Melbourne is going to Melbourne.
Yeah, I did pretty well. I managed to knock someone out of the running that's actually in this call today. I think, didn't I?
Who would that be? That could have been anyone that was running Buzzwole. But regardless. While we were battling, I sort of asked Mikey Morgs, he was running Future Sight and it was Cresselia, and I was like, what's Future Sight for? And he just said, for Buzzwole, which, didn't get to use it. But regardless, I guess we've actually skirted around it. I haven't actually said it so bluntly, but we do have the top four. Essentially, our day two is just the top four, which is leaving the winners finals and the losers semi-finals ready to play. So at this, actually, I completely forgot, but we actually have a bracket that we can cut to over yonder, where we can sort of see up in the winners side of the bracket, we had at the end of day one, we had Triple Crit versus Rocket Claire, where Triple Crit was able to take it out. out, whoever this Rocket Claire chick is. We also had Jakobovich versus Rick Flareon, where Yakko was able to take out Rick Flareon. And then sort of going through the losers bracket, we had Avrip taking out Bamboozled, taking out Rick Flareon to land himself in the losers semis. And then down on the other side of the losers bracket, we had Valiant Vish taking out Anacore 13, and then Rocket Claire taking out the great Valiant Vish, which sort of leaves us to where we are now, heading into the Sunday of the Melbourne Championships, where we have Triple Crit versus Yakko up in the winners finals, and we have Avrip versus Rocket Claire down in the losers semis. So we are going to start it off today with Avrip versus Rocket Claire, and then we'll jump up to Triple Crit, and then we'll jump back down, and then jump back up as we go. But I mean, with that said, guys, are we ready to go? Are we hype? Are we ready to see battles that some of us have seen very close up before? Okay. So
I definitely want to see these battles, Steve.
Yeah, you're the only one who's
I'm
been completely left out in the cold. But all right, we'll pass it off to Trotter and Mikey Morgs. We won't make Claire cast her own battles first up. But anyway, let's jump into it and take a look at the teams, which look a little bit similar if you ask me, but we'll find out.
Thanks very much, Steve. Yes, I mean, they're very, very similar there, Mikey. Can you point out the stark difference?
Well, they've both got good steel types, and I think that's our difference. One of them's a flyer, and then the other one is Registeel.
So you feel like that's one up to Rocket Claire straight away?
Yeah, potentially. I think when you look at these teams, that the most neutral Pokemon going into each of them is probably going to be the Lanterns. And I really think that where the Lanterns line up is going to be important. From memory, I think that both the Annihilapes might have Ice Punch because they had open team sheets. So by this stage, we'd seen that. I've been told here Claire's Ape actually has Night Slash and not Ice Punch, which I think means that Claire's Lantern is going to potentially be a little bit more impactful than Avrip's might necessarily be, because it's going to be, in order for Avrip to take out Lantern with his Ape, he's going to need to land a Shadow Ball. And I think that means that for Avrip, that his Gligar is going to be much safer into this matchup than it would be for Claire into Avrip, because without that Ice Punch, Gligar's looking a lot stronger.
Yeah, and the Skarmory Gligar matchup is definitely in Avrip's favor too. You know, everything is resisted by the flying steel type Avrip, so there's a little bit more, and it really looks like Claire's got to dance around a little bit more here and really but she's got the best buddy Lickitung. Look at that little badge there.
Yeah, that best buddy boost on the Lickitung actually makes a really big difference into that Skarmory matchup. Because you can still pick up the win in a zero shield scenario there, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. If Avrip was just to throw straight Sky Attack and not throw a Brave Bird, the Lickitung can actually win that if they time it with their licks properly. So I think that's quite interesting. I think one of the big stories about the Melbourne Regional has been this re-rise of Altaria. And as we can see, both the teams running Altaria, not a lot of grass types in the meta, although potentially we might see some more later on in our day 2 casting today. But yeah, I think this is going to be a really tight, really close match. And as I mentioned before, I think Lantern is going to be a linchpin for both teams.
Fantastic. I say we get into these battles because I haven't seen them and I am keen as a bean to get these ones going, Steve. So let's roll the battles. And here we go. Battle number 1. And we have Lantern into the Altaria, and we have a Spark Lantern. I do not know the movesets, but Spark Lantern into Altaria. This is quite a neutral matchup. You'd think it'd be a little bit more advantageous to Lantern, but that Dragon typing just resisting everything there for Rocket Claire. Here coming in the Thunderbolt.
Yep, and this is the whole key with Lantern, is if you can land that first Thunderbolt, you're in a much better position. The question is this going to be a Moonblast? Is she going to shield? If she lets this go and this Moonblast lands, it does quite a lot of damage. But as you can see, Lantern is bulky. Lantern can take that. This surf's not going to be quite enough to take it out, but she did build up to the Thunderbolt, so we'll see if she can get the shield off Avrip here.
And it should be a farm down afterwards. Oh, and a swap here into the 8. 8 trying to get some energy, and a return swap into the Gligar. Now, we do know that Avrip does have that Ice Punch and is slightly ahead on energy here. Will Claire use her first shield? There it comes out. Double super effective damage from those Ice Punches. Very well done.
And I think that we're going to see that they're now at energy parity because she came in one counter late. She's going to throw this aerial ace here. This has to be a shield, otherwise it's going to probably take it out. So she should be able to outpace here to the next aerial ace, which she... Oh, no. Okay, so it was 2 counters before she swapped in. It's a little bit hard when you're looking over the shoulder. And now she's showing us her regional wristband, which is nice. And I think we should be looking at a situation where they're going shields down here. Look at this. This is an excellent undercharge here, expecting a no shield, and was able to get 1 wing attack off to go down there.
Yeah, that very, very smart play there, recognizing that you need that extra energy. You probably wanted to win the CMP, or you weren't sure where the energy was at. And out comes the Mirror Match Gligar. Shadow Gligars, they will all survive a move, but there might be a potential undercharge fire back from Avrip, or just an overfarm here to try and shore up whatever else Rocket Claire has in the back. We can't see the back Pokemon in this, so this is much more like your GBL. Oh, and an attempted catch, and the surf. The surf comes out.
Oh, that was fantastic. So I really think that is going to be critical here, because that's going to do massive damage here. And what does she have sitting in the back? Oh, well, look at that. It is an Altaria. I think that this game is well and truly over now. I think that she should be able to get the farm down here. She's going to have to take 1 aerial ace. But even if the Annihilate had an Ice Punch loaded, she's still going to be able to Dragon Breath down and then Wing Attack down whatever's left for the Annihilate, whatever's left for the Altaria. Not that it matters. Game over. First game to Rocket Claire. Really well done there. And as I sort of predicted, I think that Lantern in the lead made a really big difference, and being able to hang on to that surf at the end is what closed out that game against the Gligar.
Yeah, and as the Gligar user, you really don't want to eat that surf. Like, the Lantern outpaces the Gligar to the surf before the Gligar gets to the dig. And it's not a comfortable matchup for a water or electric versus a ground flying type. You know, it's really just tricky. So yeah, very well played there. And the ape was used. It's featuring everywhere at the moment in all battles in all formats. Do you see it coming back to match number 2?
I think so. I think what we noticed here is that, like the European scene, the Australian battlers are very adventurous with their team building when it comes to these regionals, and they had a little bit more time to practice with Annihilate. And so I think that as the circuit continues, you're going to see more and more Annihilate being used, because it is just so strong into so many different matchups. And as we saw in that game there, because of the Annihilate being in there, they were able to get shields out of the way, and that's what created the closing opportunity for Claire. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. I think that Annihilate was shown to be one of the true MVPs of Melbourne, and so I think we're going to see a lot of that today.
Fantastic. I wouldn't be surprised if Avrip actually brings out that Licky for some more neutral play, because it does neutral everything, right? It's good. It's bulky. It'll be interesting to see what Avrip does to come back from that round 1 loss to Rocket Claire. So let's jump into battle number 2 here, Steve. Fantastic. And we got Gligar into Skarmory. So an instant swap from Claire. There is the Lickitung from Rocket Claire actually in this one. And Skarmory choosing to stay in, potentially going for some sort of chip and dip. Oh, and Claire firing off the body slam, getting a little bit of chip on her own before Avrip's able to get to a sky attack. And look how much damage those licks, and here comes the ape. Intriguing.
Yeah, as I said, that Lickitung can be a real pain for Skarmory, but I think what Avrip's done there, where he's left with a bit of energy, means that Skarmory is going to be a pain towards the end game. Ape needs to shield up that Power Whip, because that Power Whip does a huge amount of neutral damage, and with the double super effective licks, it really starts to build up. He's going for a bait here. Let's see if he calls the bait or if he takes it. and he is going to call the bait, and he's going to get a full counter down here. Ape is loaded with energy. What's she going to do here? How is she going to hold out? Remember that it's running Ice Punch, so I think we're going to see some fast Ice Punches coming through into this Gligar.
Potentially Claire, yes, is letting the Gligar go. So using Gligar just to soak all of the energy. I can't quite see what the last Pokemon is, but my guess would be it's that Altaria in the back, just by the fact that she's letting everything go here. Will she shield here and potentially go for a farm down? That's the question.
Well, and he's thrown a Shadow Ball. That's a bit of a strange call, I'd feel like, but we'll see. And then we've got Lantern into Lantern. She's up a shield, but there's 3 Pokemon in the back. And there is a Skarmory sitting there loaded, but that Skarmory's energy has almost nowhere to go if this Lantern has any more than about 25% of its health left. So the first Thunderbolt has been shielded up by Avrip there, and she is still sitting with 2 shields here, Rocket Claire. She looks like she might be in a fairly strong position, and that's a good bait. So let's see what comes out of this now.
Yeah, you almost feel like the surf baits are kind of safe, right? Because you know that they've got nothing left in that. There's no catches. You're just going to get rid of those shields. And yeah, another bait comes through, and here comes the Thunderbolt from Rocket Claire now. Now, does Rocket Claire have the ability to farm down and have some surfs in the back and energy in the back ready for those mons? No, it looks like she will need to throw another surf here. And this is risky because here is going to come a Thunderbolt from Avrip. Shields are now down, and this is going to be tight to the run to the finish.
I think this is going to be a fair bit of damage here. And oh no, so it wasn't a Thunderbolt, it was a Surf. But that Skarmory has so much health. I think if it's throwing a Brave Bird here, this might almost be enough for a KO. And there we go, up and down. Even though it is resisted, Brave Bird, one of the hardest hitting moves in the game, and we can see right there that from Skarmory, that was enough to just take it out while it was a little bit under 25% health.
And I mean, the thing you got to consider is Avrip playing to these win conditions needed 2 baits to get back on the energy with the shield scenario. Got those 2 baits and then was able to win. If Claire no shielded one of those surfs, absolutely in a fine position there. Has the shields left, has the energy, probably takes out the match from there. But it's really, really tricky in those scenarios. You got to play to your win cons, and that's what Avrip did really, really well there.
You know, it's very interesting when you look at both of these teams and the impact that Lantern is having, because in the championship circuit, we have seen a decrease in the amount of effectiveness that Lantern has had. And that's because there's been so much Whiscash on all teams. You know, Whiscash, Lickitung have been essentially the unbreakable core for the last month or so. However, with no Whiscash on either of these 2 teams, we're seeing Lantern is just out, and it is sparking and swimming around and having the best time, enjoying itself in these matches. And so it'll be interesting to see if they both bring that Lantern again in this 3rd match.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if Rocket Claire pivots into that Registeel, because it has pretty good matchups, obviously, against everything but the Gligar and the Ape for Avrip's team. Still neutral, right? There's still a lot of neutrality, but it can get shields. And if Claire can get shields down and position the rest of her neutral mons into a way that can take out the win, might be an option. It's just there.
Absolutely. I agree. It's interesting because I don't think you think in theory that Registeel has a dominant matchup against Altaria, but because it requires 2 Zap Cannons and a minimum to take the Altaria down, the matchups are not quite as dominant as you think it is. But it will be interesting to see because, as you said, if you can avoid Gligar, Registeel can take a shield off pretty much anything else that's in that lineup. So let's move on to number 3 now, do you think, Trotter? We ready for it? Let's go.
Oh, Altaria into Gligar. This is Altaria's favor. The Dragon Breath damage just really adding up onto this Gligar here. Gligar will outpace the moves. Dig completely useless. But Avrip is throwing a move.
You know, it's really interesting actually in the one shield scenario that Shadow Gligar can flip this matchup because of how much neutral damage Wing Attack and Aerial Ace do. But it needs to shield this first move if it wants to have that opportunity. The Altaria throws a Sky Attack, and there is a shield there from Avrip, so clearly he knows his matchups. Is he going to throw? He's going to throw here, and we're going to see an Aerial Ace coming through as Rocket Claire going to shield. She shields it up, and The Gligar is sitting a little bit ahead on energy, but I think that Claire's going to be able to reach a charge move beforehand, and he catches a Sky Attack onto his Lantern. That's the dream right there. That's what you want to see. What's going to come in next? She's probably going to swap, right, Trotter?
Yes, into her own Gligar. So quite happy to not have the Gligar mirror match in the back. And you're going to need to eat a surf here. This will do a very large amount of damage here. Does use the shield, willing to go shields down to try and attempt to keep an advantage of switch advantage, sorry. And is she throwing a bait? It is, it's a bait. This is a huge call from Rocket Claire, throwing it. Doesn't land.
Absolutely massive. Absolutely massive. And it works. Oh, that would have been devastating if he'd no shielded that, but he's called it. He has fallen for the bait. Coming in, throwing the surf. Gligar's got a fair bit of bulk, so it's able to take that. Is she going to be able to get to the dig? She gets to the dig before the Lantern gets to another move. I think that we're looking at a KO here. Here comes the boom. Boom! And it goes down.
Right now, Avria has to make a choice. We don't know what they have in the back. There is a Gligar there with energy, but I think Claire has some residual energy. The Gligar, out comes the Altaria. Does she get to a move? She does get to the Aerial Ace.
This is massive right here for Claire. This little bit of chip damage onto this Altaria is going to make this a very, very tricky endgame for Avrit. And she is sitting here with Altaria, and I'm assuming it's probably a Lantern is her third in the back, because we've seen Lantern in every match so far, and there comes the Spark Lantern. And that little bit of chip damage means that this is in Thunderbolt and Farm Down range. So is this going to be a Moonblast first up? I assume it's going to be a Moonblast. I think Avrit's win con here now is that he gets a Moonblast debuff, but she's going to be able to clear that debuff, Claire is, given that she still has her Altaria sitting healthy in the back. This Thunderbolt's going to come through. Is it going to be enough, Trotter?
This will be very close to being deep in the red. If not, one more spark. Oh, and a swap. Oh, we've got a swap. And now comes the Gligar here. And Gligar's throwing the energy. Claire is only 1 or 2 sparks on her Lantern away from a surf. This will be super, super close. Down goes the Altaria here. And she's tapping where that move is. Who's going to get there first? Oh, my gosh. Oh, no.
Is it a dig? Is it an Aerial Ace? I think this is an Aerial Ace coming through. Is it going to be enough? It's not quite enough, and then the surf lands off. The surf going straight into the Gligar here. It's going to take it out, and I think it's going to be a race here because there is still an Altaria in the back. Don't put your phone down yet, Clive. Don't put your phone down yet, Clive. There we go. Ah, what a fantastic win.
Oh my God.
Sensational endgame there.
Oh, you could see that. Claire put the phone down, forgot about the Altaria. Oh my goodness. Can we go across to Claire? I need to see her face. I need to talk about this.
Oh dear. Oh. Claire, what was that?
Let me compose myself. Claire, was that a forget about Altaria moment? Or please enlighten us?
Oh, yeah. No, actually, what happened in that moment, and I've had a good chat to Adam about this afterwards, he actually said GG's before, as soon as just as he threw the Aerial Ace from the Gligar onto my Lantern, I didn't know if that was a dig, I'd lost track, or an Aerial Ace. So I was sitting there waiting to be KO'd. And just as he threw it, he said, GG's, it's yours. And so I completely got confused to what was going on. Aerial Ace landed, and you saw what happened after that. And I did momentarily lose concentration, and so it was lucky I still had my thumb on the phone and managed to down that Altaria. Very, very tricky, I think, battling in person after being used to online battles for some time. So something I'm still getting used to. All the conversation going on between and the banter between the people battling and being told GG's before the end definitely did throw me. So it's something I probably will keep in mind for next time.
I mean, is that open to a question to the judges? Like I'm getting a little controversial here. So if an opponent verbally concedes defeat, like if let's say you did put the phone down and then you lost to fast move damage because you'd forgotten about it, or let's say it was a tie because you only needed 1 spark, and let's say I don't know. I feel like that should then be like if you verbally say you've won the game, like I'm battling Mikey, I'm like, Mikey, you win, well done, and then like I win. I don't know. In chess, you knock over the king, you lose. That's it.
I think that maybe knocking over the king is a little bit more of a bit of a harsher move than I've said GG's many a time when it has not actually been GG's because I have no clue what's going on. But they've also been
GG's. I think it's yours or whatever the other word you said is the difference. GG's is like good game. You can say good game when you're winning. I mean, it's a bit of a jerk thing to do before the battle's over to say good game when you've won.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a rulable offence though, Trotter. When you knock the king over in chess, that means you're conceding. I think mind games are a huge part of what makes the in real life tournaments so much fun. If you ever want to, I don't know if you remember from Brisbane, but the amount of trash talk between Yakko and I going on was just makes it a much better experience for everybody involved, except me because I lost.
It definitely was going to go by what the battle log said, and if I had have stopped tapping, then that would have been disastrous for me. But thankfully, I didn't. And yeah, I guess it's just something to remember moving forward. That just don't listen, just play your game. And usually I do. I usually just play my game out. So we'll just continue that way.
There's a really great lesson in watching that match there for everybody who's online as well. Is that Averett made a sensational play early in that game 3. He caught that sky attack onto his lantern, or it looked like he's caught the sky attack onto the lantern. And I remember watching that live, and I was chatting with Valiant Vish, and I said what had just happened, and he went, "Oh, geez, well, that's going to be hard to come back from." But as Claire just said, she just continued to play her game. Continued to play consistently, and then was able to take out the win in the end, even if it was by the slimmest of margins. But fantastic to see. Well done.
Yeah, sure. Catches happen, and you just got to, well played to the other person. What am I going to do next? What am I going to do to make up for that move?
Yeah, exactly right. And you played incredibly well, Claire, and locking yourself into the top 3 as well. But we'll put that on pause for a little bit down in the losers bracket because we have to find out who you are going to be facing by jumping back up to the winners bracket up in the winners finals. Jakovic versus Triple Crit. So Claire, let's get into it. Let's bring the teams over and take a little bit of a look. And actually welcome in Rise to Occasion. Huge raid coming in as well. Welcome in Raiders. We're jumping in, going through the Melbourne Pokemon Regional Championship that was just held last weekend because we have all of the battles recorded. So, we're dodgy with our phones. So we can at least take a look at the action as we go. And we are now jumping into the winners finals. Yakko versus Triple Crit, 2 of the strongest trainers, not only from Australia, but also from Melbourne. So, very much keeping it close to home. But Claire, these are 2 very different teams. So what is immediately sort of standing out to you on both teams here?
I mean, isn't it great to see 2 quite different teams and a few Pokemon that we're not necessarily seeing all that much of in these competitions? Particularly what my eyes move to straight away is that Pelipper. Jakovic always has a plan. He always team builds very meticulously, as you can all imagine. And I'm sure he's coming with Pelipper with a few matchups in mind and a few things that he's thought about that he's anticipating. And look, Pelipper is a great Pokemon. In the right circumstances, it can make a great safe switch. It builds energy really, really fast. So spammy with the weather balls, and then obviously has that nuke move of Hurricane, which in the right circumstances can just do so much damage and really turn a game. So really exciting to see whether he feels he can bring that. On the other hand, though, what really stands out, if you look at Triple Crit's line, I mean, everyone was talking about it all weekend, that Bastiodon. Oh, my goodness. You don't see Bastiodon that often in these competitions. Not really sure what prompted Triple Crit to bring that. However, he used it incredibly well. Even if he doesn't bring it to the battle, it's such bench pressure that your opponent cannot choose their line of 3 without taking it into account. And I know because I played him twice on the weekend, so definitely bore the brunt of his expertise with that. I particularly also like the choice of a Bomber Snow on Jakovic's side. So a Bomber Snow, we're starting to see creep into people's teams in these championship battles quite often now, the last few weeks. And I think it's just such a brilliant move. A Bomber Snow is such a core breaker for all of the Glygars, the Flyers, and obviously the water and ground types that we're seeing dominate the meta at the moment. And to bring in a Bomber Snow, I didn't actually face Jakovic, but I faced other people running it. And it really makes you so tentative, again, about your line of 3. You have to make sure that you're not bringing 2 Pokemon that are going to be weak to it, or that it's going to sweep. So really exciting to see such, I guess, polarizing Pokemon in these teams. And I think Jakobovic has to look at Triple Crit's team and say, okay, I need to bring my Bastiodon counters. I need to make sure I'm bringing the Whiscash and or the Gligar or both, because some of his other team members, like the Charjabug, the Abomasnow, and also even the Lickitung, which is usually so good in such a neutral matchup against other Pokemon, aren't so great. So it really does force his hand a little bit when he's choosing his lines.
Yeah, I think you've really hit all 3 of the big nails on the head. 1, Abomasnow is a really good meta read about what is important. I mean, there's been a lot of chatter about grass type being more important in the meta these days, and that's absolutely true with all of the Whiscashes, the water types running around. You've also got that Pelipper, which is just a wacky pick. Like, Pelipper is such an out there selection that I'm really excited to, I hope that we get to see some Pelipper action. But I think Bastiodon is definitely the Pokemon on both teams that is going to decide how this game plays out. It's a very much, it's one of the Pokemon that is very famous for being hard wins, hard losses. I think Triple Crit's team is incredibly similar to Caleb Peng's team that he ran whichever one the most recent regional he competed in was. And so he's, I think it might have been that. Actually, no, he was casting at Knoxville. It's the one before Charlotte, perhaps. Where he was running a similar team, but I think it had Vigoroth instead of Annihilate. But I actually heard Yakko talking about it during the tournament while against Triple Crit. He said that he needed to either run ABB, where the BB both beat Bastiodon, or he had to run an ABA where he, again, wasn't ABA weak to the Bastiodon. He couldn't put himself in a scenario where he was double weak to the Bastiodon and ready to get exploited in that sense, because it is such a hard Pokemon to face. And so keeping that in mind, it sort of limits Yakko's team building abilities, I suppose. He's got to think a little bit more carefully about what 3 he wants to run. But Yakko, coming in as the only other player to win a regional championship through the Oceanic season, definitely coming in with a whole lot of talent. So if anyone can do it, Yakko definitely can. So what say you, we sort of get into these battles, take a bit of a look. I should actually say for everyone that's sort of watching the stream as well, that while most of this stream is going to be comprised of ZoëTwoDots' really nice camera footage, these next 2 are going to be sort of handheld, just phone recordings with Shadow providing some really clean footage. And this first battle, I provided one of the halves, and you can tell which half it is. But this is the only battle that I do it. Then AgentMagikarp came in to save the day. But regardless, let's get into battle number 1 in the winners finals. Yakko vs Triple Crit, and we will be watching from Triple Crit's perspective. Actually, we've got both of them. Triple Crit on the left with the Lickitung into Yakko's Abomasnow. Actually, a really interesting matchup where the body slams are going to be adding up onto the Abomasnow. Not an incredibly bulky Pokemon, but these weather balls come off really quick as well and can add up the damage onto that Lickitung. But it's a very neutral scenario, as most Lickitungs. Oh wait, has it got Icy Wind now? I'm completely out of whack.
So the interesting thing with this matchup is that now that Abomasnow can learn Icy Wind, it actually has the favourable matchup against Lickitung, which is not how it was previously. So Icy Wind has completely revolutionised the use of Abomasnow. So not only is it a really great pick as a core breaker, but this debuff move is just so annoying. Like, it just brings down the attack potential of the opponent.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And you can see that it's really working here with that Lickitung sort of going down further and further and further. The body slams are doing less and less and less. Only needs to get to one more Icy Wind here, and he's right on it here just before the Lickitung gets to that body slam. And so Triple Crit deciding to just let it go, letting the Lickitung go down, and is now going to have to make a call what he wants to bring in the back. We can see that we've got the Gligar and the Annihilate. So neither of them particularly bad here, but the Annihilate just a little bit safer, going to take a little less damage and take that Abomasnow out even quicker. But now it has to face the Shadow Gligar that's come in, which luckily Triple Crit does have Ice Punch on his Annihilate, so he at least has some counterplay here. But Yakko has got that shield ready to deploy, and so he's just going to have to tries to catch the Aerial Ace, but Triple Crit sort of unable to get the catch there.
Yeah, nice move though to move into the Gligar mirror. And Yakovovich standing off an aerial ace at Triple Crit's way. He's definitely head on energy there. Going to send another one. Will this get yeah, so Triple Crit shielding that one to preserve his health and his energy. And we were in the Gligar mirror. Here we are. Triple Crit building up. He's got 2 aerial aces to send off. Got the hand coming across there. Yakovovich sending his. And that's being shielded. So it really is coming down to who's going to win this matchup and who's going to win it and come out with the switch.
Yeah, we can see that Yakko's got that Shadow Whiscash hanging out in the back, whereas Triple Crit is still hanging on to that Annihilate, and that Whiscash is going to be a bit of a menace to Triple Crit here. This dig is definitely going to do a lot of damage, but even a Shadow Whiscash can take it on the chin, so Yakko letting it come through, bringing it down into the yellow, and is now able to just keep farming up energy again, trying to catch a move by the looks of it onto Triple Crit's Annihilate, but Yakko keeping his cool, getting another Mud Shot in before throwing this Scald. Annihilate, not a super bulky Pokemon, but able to just goes down there, and now it is just Gligar who is staring down the barrel of this Whiscash, throwing another Scald. There are no shields left on Triple Crit's side, which means this Gligar is going to be going down, and then that is all she wrote with this Scald, taking out the teams, and Yakko taking game number 1 against Yakko.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and I think what that really shows is the dominance of Shadow Whiscash. We probably didn't talk about that much at the start. However, we saw in Knoxville last weekend, Shadow Whiscash being used far more commonly. I don't think there were many Shadow Whiscashes at Melbourne last weekend, but Yakovovich is really showcasing the strength of that Pokemon. It does just so much more damage, obviously being the Shadow variant. It doesn't take damage as well, but it's tanky enough to be able to hang in there, and isn't afraid obviously of that Gligar matchup, especially when it can get to the Scolds, and the Scold debuff potential, as we've seen and as we know, is just so oppressive when it occurs reasonably often. So it's definitely looking like the Whiscash is going to be a key Pokemon for Yakovovich, and I think Triple Crit now will be thinking about, how on earth do I play around that Pokemon? I really need to bring the mons that are going to counter it.
Yeah, a bit of a problem is that Triple Crit doesn't have like a hard counter to that Whiscash. He's sort of running without any sort of grass damage outside of the Power Whip on Lickitung, which, as we all know, takes a little bit of time to get there. And by the time you do, Whiscash is already, starting to throw these Scalds at you, really weakening you down. And so I feel like Triple Crit has really sort of got to defeat Whiscash by committee a little bit, where he has a little bit of damage from this Pokemon, a little bit of damage on this Pokemon, and it really makes it a little bit tricky for him to find a safe team to run. You can potentially go with something like the Azumarill, because at least you do get that play rough neutral damage while you can sort of just take the Scalds for a little while. We saw that in I think the last round, where we saw a little bit of Scald on Azumarill action, but it's sort of a Pokemon that I can at least sort of soak it up a little bit. But then you've still got to be worried about the Lickitung, because we know that's not a particularly great matchup for Azumarill. You've also got to be worried about the Abomasnow. You've got to be worried about the Charjabug. So Azumarill, it's a little bit of a scary Pokemon to bring. And I guess that's a little bit Yakko. Actually, I guess what's happening here a little bit is that Triple Crit has got that Bastiodon that is putting a lot of pressure onto Yakko and how he can team build. And by the same time, Yakko has got that Shadow Whiscash that is putting pressure onto Triple Crit and forcing him to think about how he wants to team build. And I think that those two Pokemon are probably the two cores that these two are building their teams around. So I guess the question becomes, how does Triple Crit pivot? Does he... I feel like Annihilate is a relatively decent mon into Yakko's, into the team that Yakko just run. So maybe Annihilate is sort of a good one to stick around. Charjabug, you could give it a go, but you're really going to be up a creek if you get it into the wrong matchup. So maybe you just, again, have to run it a little bit safe. You bring in the Lickitung as something that can, do pretty decent. I don't know. How do you do this, Claire? I'm not at this level.
Yeah, I think I think you have to team up, and even Shadow Gligar against Whiscash isn't the worst matchup. You do have to shield the Scolds. It can't handle more than one, but I think if you can perhaps time it right, if you've got some shields, you can get off a lot of damage with the wing attacks and the aerial aces. But it isn't the most comfortable matchup, of course. And yes, you do need to team up, and the Azumarill is key. Keeping the Azumarill off the Charjabug is really important, and the Lickitung, obviously. Annihilate, like you said, it can do so much damage. The counters really add up. It has some really strong charge moves because it just has such a high attack. However, its low bulk is a real problem. And I think a lot of us have been trying to learn to use Annihilate really well in the last few weeks since it became available. And it was the best fighting Pokemon to bring to this championship. And, people are, all talking about it, and the majority of teams had one. However, we're all still learning, like I said, and it is quite tricky to be able to get off the damage that you want to get off and to dodge those moves that it's so weak to.
Yeah, look, I mean, Triple Crit has tried to balance it out by having that one Annihilate that's quite squishy, and the rest of his team is quite bulky. The Azumarill, the Bassi, the Charger Bug, the Gligar, the Lickitung, they can all take hits. But, I mean, I don't think we've actually said it yet, that Yakko was the only person in the top 8 to not run Annihilate, not bring a counter user at all. So like he's very much attacking the meta in his own sort of way. Going, hey, I can deal with Annihilate. That is absolutely fine. So let's take a look. Let's jump into game number 2 in this. This is a best of 5 set in the winners finals. So let's get into the battles. And we have Triple Crit bringing in the Bastiodon up against the Abomasnow, which is exactly a spot where we would love to have it. So Yakko presumably running an ABB lineup here, where he has the Gligar coming in to take down this Basti, and that Whiscash hanging out in the back. Now Gligar, it's interesting to me that Triple Crit is staying in here. You sort of are forced to shield because that dig would absolutely demolish you. But Bastiodon versus Gligar is not a matchup that Bastiodon is ever going to win, despite the fact that you can at least do a little bit of damage along the way.
That's right. It's a bit of a tricky one, actually, because of the part flying typing of Gligar. But then, of course, now Triple Crit has brought in his Gligar. He's built up what he wanted to on his Bastiodon, and he's ready to counter, and we come back into the Gligar mirror again. Yeah. Sending off that aerial ace, and it looks Jakobovic has got his thumb hovering over the shield. Is he going to shield it? No, he's decided not to. He's going to let that go, and just gets off his own aerial ace. So that was really clever by Jakobovic. He knew that he could survive, and with just the 1 HP and still get his energy off. Quite a risk, but I think that was quite calculated, to be honest. And now he gets to bring in the Abomasnow. What a favourable matchup this is, to be able to shield down, to be able to powder snow down the Gligar. He will have to wear an aerial ace. I dare say he already knows how much damage this will do and that he'll survive. Yes. So still in the yellow, but still plenty of energy left to get off an icy wind into whatever is coming in. And Alistair, Triple Crit has to make that decision now. So he's going to wait the timer. He's going to bring in that Bastiodon, and the smackdowns will add up, and straight into the Whiscash. Okay, and straight into the Lickitung, which will counter the Whiscash. Obviously, Lickitung has Power Whip, which is going to really take that Whiscash out if it's not shielded. But the Scald is coming off. Hopefully, get the debuff. No debuff there.
Yeah, look, this is a case where Yakko has really held on to that shield so that he can use it in this matchup. Triple Crit going for the bait with the body slam though, but Whiscash has a lot of work to do. It has to take out this Lickitung, and then also needs to be able to take out that Bastiodon that's in the back, which isn't too much of an ask for a Whiscash, but it is something you need a little bit of health to be able to do, so he cannot afford to get Power Whipped. The first Mud Bomb going off, and the second Mud Bomb going off as well, just barely before Triple Crit got up to that Power Whip as well. That was almost Triple Crit's game to win, but the Mud Bomb coming through, taking out the Lickitung, and now it is just down to that Shadow Whiscash versus Bastiodon. And unfortunately for Triple Crit, I do not think this is a matchup that Bastiodon is going to be able to win, especially with how much health that Whiscash is still holding on to. I mean, look, one Mud Bomb, Bastiodon's still able to survive, right? But I don't think that it's going to be taking this second one too easily, to say the least.
Yeah, that's really uncomfortable for the Bastiodon. You could see Triple Crit put the phone down, put his hand under his chin, and he's doing that thinking pose that we're all quite used to seeing. I'm sure he's got his thinking cap on already before the end of that battle, and he's thinking about what's my next move. Very seasoned show 6 pick 3 battler, Triple Crit. We all know that he's been in this position before. His mind games are amazing. He knows strategy. He's going to be looking back at his team and going, okay, this Shadow Whiscash is coming every game. What is it that I can do to try and turn this around?
Yeah, well, this is actually a strategy that Yakko used a lot at the Brisbane Regional Championships that we sort of saw in our recap stream back then, is that Yakko loves to find a core of 3 that really works against your team and just keep using it. So we actually saw him run the exact same team both games there. The Abomasnow lead with the Shadow Gligar and the Shadow Whiscash in the back. And like he was able to win it both times. And so I feel like Triple Crit is going to have to be looking at that formula and going, okay, how do I crack this team? You know, I got the Bastiodon. Like, I won the lead right there. I got the Bastiodon onto the Abomasnow. That's where I want it. But then Yakko was just sort of able to play his way out of it. You know, we saw the Gligar mirror match. I think we saw Triple Crit trying to get a little bit of damage onto the Gligar first, potentially, so that when his Gligar could come back in, then maybe he's able to win the switch advantage, keep the Bastiodon on the Abomasnow a little bit later, but just wasn't able to get it over the line in the end. And so it's just a thing where, like, if you're going to bring Bastiodon, you have to be worried that Whiscash... I guess when there's a Bastiodon in play, both of you are looking at switch advantage a little bit. You're like, okay, this is something that could be quite important. And so, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Yakko run like this same 3 all 5 games in this first set. Like, that's just, it really seems to be a playstyle that he sort of tends to stick to and somehow just keeps performing incredibly well. So the question becomes, how does Triple Crit break open that core of 3? I think it was Mikey Morgs that said before that, like, the Lickitung Whiscash is quite a core, but Yakko doesn't even need the Lickitung. It's just Abomasnow and Gligar really rounds it out well enough.
Yeah, and I think what's really obvious is Yakko's come up with that line of 3 that he knows is going to be strong into Triple Crit's line, and why does he need to change it? He's winning. So, you know, don't break the formula unless you need to, and these two play each other all the time. What we probably haven't mentioned is in grassroots competition, they're very used to each other's play style. I know that Triple Crit would be thinking, okay, he's brought it twice, he'll probably bring it again. I need to be ready for it, and I need to not only win switch, but but I need to be able to win switch, because bringing in the switch quickly and building energy is kind of how Yakko's been flipping those matchups. Triple Crit is very equal to the task. And I dare say he's probably looking and thinking, Bastiodon didn't work for me so well that battle, and so is it time to bench it? Yakko's obviously trying to scare it off with the lines that he's been bringing. So is it now time for Triple Crit to say, Basti, you've done your job, we're going on the shelf, we're going to bring in some other mons that are going to really counter that line of 3 that Yakko just keeps bringing over and over.
It feels like the only way to go. So let's jump into game number 3 and see what Triple Crit has sort of made in the lab to try and take down Yakko. Jumping in, and we do have the Annihilate into the Abomasnow. Yakko swapping straight into the Gligar, but now Triple Crit actually swapping into the Azumarill. Maybe this is the exact formula to crack open Yakko's big line, because this Azumarill is going to be able to take this dig quite well, and will just be able to really pressure that Gligar with the Ice Beams, that huge super effective damage onto the ground flying type, and like he's able to farm up just below the charge move as well, so getting a quick shield out of Yakko. And so this is sort of a point where, like, Gligar is doing a lot of damage as much as Azumarill is in a really strong position, so has to think a little bit about burning a shield here potentially to keep this Azumarill around. But it looks like Triple Crit gonna let it come through and gonna be confident that he's gonna be able to throw this Ice Beam onto the Gligar and hopefully take the Gligar down.
Yeah, if Yakko lets this go, then that is definitely the end of the Gligar for this battle. And yes, the Ice Beam goes through and takes it out. And Triple Crit also has a shield advantage, which is pretty favourable at the moment. Abomasnow comes in, the bubbles aren't going to be doing so much to that, and his Yakovovich is actually going to farm all the way down. No, not quite. So Triple Crit gets to the play rough, which is going to hurt a little bit. Abomasnow, not the bulkiest of Pokemon, so great play by Triple Crit getting to that play rough before he's farmed down. Yakko obviously wanting the farm down so he can build up as much energy as possible for whatever comes in, and it's the Lickitung. So getting these Icy Winds off is critical. Like I said earlier, Icy Wind Abomasnow does well against Lickitung. Obviously, he's much lower on health, but it's going to render this Lickitung, he's going to come out of this matchup with the Lickitung with so much less attack because of these Icy Winds. So a great play there by Yakovovich, using these debuff moves to his absolute advantage and bringing the health down on the Lickitung quite a bit as well. Triple Crit swapping in and catching an Icy Wind on his Annihilate. Interesting move there. It will do a bit, but it will also bring down the attack on the Annihilate. And now we have the Shadow Whiscash coming in. So Annihilate still with 2 shields, which is a great position for such a strong attack Pokemon to be in, and going straight for the Shadow Ball, which, Yakovovich isn't going to shield, Steve.
Oof. doing a
Wow.
lot of damage to that Whiscash. And now this Mud Bomb. I mean, Triple Crit still holding on to the ability to shield here. And I feel like knowing that there's an Abomasnow in the back, you could have sort of put all your chips onto Annihilate. But Triple Crit deciding that Lickitung is actually going to be the Pokemon of the hour, getting to get this Body Slam off Yakko. No shielding there. Doing his classic sort of looking around, giving it a think. Whiscash goes down, and now it is going to be back onto this Abomasnow. But there is not much health on that Abomasnow, and it is going to be almost a full lick down. You can see there's still a shield on. Actually, both sides still would have been able to shield, so we didn't see the charge moves go off. But really just a cleanly played game for Triple Crit to sort of get a win back. And I actually really like his strategy there, where he brought the Lickitung into the Abomasnow instead of bringing in the Annihilate, because that Lickitung was just sort of able to soak up all of the energy that Abomasnow had. So, like, you know, Abomasnow sort of had a little bit more than one Icy Wind, I think. So we saw the first Icy Wind land, Lickitung took it, got up to a second Icy Wind, land, Lickitung took it. And so just getting Abomasnow down to no energy so that Triple Crit could then swap into the Annihilate, counter down the Abomasnow, which, you know, it didn't quite get there in the end, but regardless, it came back into the Whiscash and was just able to power on through. And I really think that's good identification of where your win cons are, which Pokemon are going to be strong. And Triple Crit finally able to break Yakko's formula of running the same team 3 times in a row.
Yeah, I mean, you could almost say that was coming. Like, it had to happen eventually. If you're going to keep running the same team, eventually your opponent is going to pick it and be able to counter it. And that's exactly what Triple Crit showed us that he did there. And like you say, played so cleverly, really saved those shields for the Annihilate at the end, which was key, and very focused on, like you say, using his Lickitung as another shield. He just had shields all around, really. It was almost unfair. But it's just an example of how well he played it and his experience coming to the fore.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that Triple Crit, seeing how powerful that Azumarill was in that game, I think that he's probably going to stick around it a little bit more, because are really strong against Gligar, some play against the Whiscash. Very much scared of that Abomasnow, so I guess you've still got the Ice Beam for some sort of counter play, but it's not a matchup that you're going to want to be in too often. So I guess now it's sort of the ball's back in Yakko's court. It's like, okay, what does he do now? Because I don't think he's going to run the exact same line again. He could, though. It's happened before where Yakko has, you know, kept running the same line of 3. He loses it, but in his head is going like, okay, if I just play it this way instead, I'll be able to win this one. So, you know, does it anyway. It's definitely something that could happen. And when you're someone as talented as Yakko, it's something that definitely we might see here. But I guess we'll go into game number 4 of the winners finals here. Yakko only needs to win one more game to put him into the grand finals, whereas Triple Crit really needs to push on through and win both of the next 2. So let's see what he brings into game number 4. And it is the Annihilate into the Charger Bug. Yakko making a huge adjustment here, bringing in a big counter to the Azumarill, and really, thankfully, showing us his back line there with the Gligar and the Whiscash. And now it is going to be a question of what Triple Crit wants to do here, because this isn't like an awesome matchup for the Annihilate. I mean, even though the charge moves come out pretty quick from the Charger Bug, you don't have big, super effective damage to the Charger Bug, but you can try and land this Shadow Ball and hope that Yakko doesn't shield it. And Yakko does it! The Charger Bug taking a big hit early on. That is not good for Yakko at all. And now, actually barely hanging on, getting this discharge off. And now it is up to Triple Crit to let this actually come through as well. These guys are just happy to red bar it and hang out on low health. But it's an Annihilate that's able to win switch advantage in the end.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I'd love to know from the guys whether that was actually an attempted bait call or whether it was intentional. Again, Jakobovic knowing that he would live and be able to get his move off. The same with Triple Crit, knowing he would live and be able to get the Ice Punch off. And that just shows the skill and the knowledge of these battlers and how they know their Pokemon in these matchups. Triple Crit coming in with the Azumarill against the Gligar. Again, like we saw earlier, not a great matchup for the Gligar, but going to get this dig off regardless and take a bit of a chunk out of the Blue Bunny. It does do a little bit. Bunny's so tanky though. Shadow Whiscash coming in against the Bunny, and not a great matchup for the Whiscash. The big chunky Lickitung is going to come in, and that is really a difficult one for Whiscash, you know, unless it can shield the Power Whips. Obviously, the Skull doing so much, no attack debuff, so unfortunate there for Jakobovic. Going to get the Mud Bomb off, see if he can catch a shield. Triple Crit has 2 shields. He almost clicked it there. I'm not sure if he's just double guessing himself, but he called the bait and is now going to send off a Power Whip. Yakovovich probably needs to shield this if he wants to maintain. No, he's going to let that one go. Wow.
Oof.
And he's quite happy to come in with Gligar. Yeah. Gligar's going to get a good farm here. It can tank one body slam. Let's see. What's he moving his hand around for? I'm not sure what he's doing there.
Just in his thinking pose, ready to go, and now Gligar ready to farm that Lickitung all the way down, and now it is up for this Azumarill to try and finish the job. This Gligar going to get another Aerial Ace off, but Triple Crit still has a shield, finally using it here to protect that Azumarill from the big damage of the Aerial Ace, and now it is just a case of not going to throw the Ice Beam because there is still a shield up on Yakko's side, but Yakko going to go for the Aerial Ace. I think both trainers know that this Aerial Ace isn't going to be enough to take out the Azumarill, and now it is just going to be a bubble down, and that is Triple Crit evening out the series to 2-2. It's getting close, Claire.
Yeah, so interesting. Triple Crit's changed things up, and I think his decision to shelve the Bastiodon is fairly key because he's actually made himself a bit less predictable, and Yakko can't really afford to not still use that strategy of bringing the ground types. He still brought the Gligar and the Whiscash in that one, just in case the Bastiodon was lurking in the back. But, Triple Crit's moved on with his strategy, and definitely getting that Azumarill versus Gligar matchup happening is very much in his favour. So he's found a bit of a secret weapon or a way to play around Kovovich's initial strategy. So making these battles very interesting and evening them up to 2-2.
2-2-2. 1-1 was a racehorse. No, but I think this is actually Triple using Yakko's own strategy against him because he just ran the same team back to back again, the Annihilate, Azumarill, Lickitung trio. So he's just done the exact same thing of like, oh, I found a 3 that works. Let's run it again. And Yakko did actually change it up a little bit, putting that Charge Bug in the lead. But yeah, I really don't think it worked out well for him with the Shadow Ball coming through and then the Annihilate being able to hang on to KO that Charge Bug and win switch advantage. Yakko is actually in the chat and he said, I was hoping Crit didn't think I was dumb enough to try it the third time in the previous game. But, unfortunately, Crit did definitely call that one. And, he said it was him giving up when he sort of, stuck the phone down with the old arm taps, thinking about what he's going to run in the next game, in the final game of the winners finals here. So somehow we've got to a point, Claire, where we're into game 5 and both players have won twice with the same team. So the question becomes, Triple Crit was able to beat Yakko's 2-win team with his 2-win team. So do we have a Triple Crit advantage? Are we looking at both of them are going to have to try something completely different? Or is Triple Crit going to really try and push his luck and go, hey, I'm going to try running this a third time?
I think it's fascinating being there in person. You see these guys and they've both got, hands on their heads, they're thinking faces on, they're looking around. Yakko's known for, looking all around the room even when he's in the middle of the battle. And that's how he's thinking, that the computers are in both heads are running really fast and both really, really clever battlers. The mind games and the strategy are incredible between these two. The camaraderie is fantastic. During the battles, they're talking to each other. They're making comments on what each other has in the back. It's fantastic to watch in person and even to be able to get to see these battles, on the screens that we're seeing. You can see how it's playing out. You can see the changes that they're making. Does Triple Crit bring the Bastiodon back just as a shock? I mean, your logic would say no because Yakko is still completely guarding against it, but who knows? Like, let's see what is going to happen, Steve, and it'll be very exciting, I'm sure, either way.
Oh, you're exactly right. And it looks like we've got the Azumarill into the Gligar. Not a good matchup for Yakko. And so we see the double swap into the Lickitung versus Annihilate matchup, which is a really weird one where Annihilate is doing that big super effective counter damage, but Lickitung is throwing the licks right back and Yakko going straight for that power whip to try and get some big damage onto the quite squishy Annihilate. And look how low it's getting. Annihilate now having to make sort of a call here, like, when do I start throwing these moves? Because I mean, Triple Crit cannot throw those Shadow Balls into Lickitung, so it is just Ice Punch season, and so it's going to be up to Yakko. Okay, Yakko is going to shield up here, so I think he decided that he wants to win switch advantage here a little bit, doesn't want to get back into that Azumarill versus Gligar matchup without a little bit of energy a little bit later potentially, but regardless, going to be able to take that Ice Punch and barely lick down the Annihilate. That is such good identification of what his Pokemon can do and can take, and here comes Triple Crit, just to soak up that bit of energy from Yakko's Lickitung onto his own. So we're back.
Yeah, so that Lickitung is just so well used to soak up the energy, and it's not going to really be worried about that at all. Yakko bringing in the Gligar and the Azumarill coming back in, so that really is fortunate for Triple Crit to have that matchup. Oh, and the Charger Bug being brought in now. So this is going to be interesting. Charger Bug does such an awful lot to Azumarill with the Volt switches, can build up a lot of energy. And Azumarill's Play Rough does hurt the Charger Bug, but you know what? It's Yakko has 2 shields, and he's really built up so much energy, and these discharges are going to be coming through thick and fast, and will do an awful lot to the water type Azumarill. Triple Crit choosing to let that one go and get off one more Ice Punch, which, yes, Charger Bug has to shield because it's not the bulkiest of Pokemon. So Jakubowicz coming through with one of his shields, and is probably going to be able to Volt Switch down this Azumarill now. And look how much energy he's got. My goodness me. Whatever is coming in, he's not going to enjoy that. And it's the Lickitung. Luckily can soak up a fair bit. And the X's are coming in onto the Lickitung.
Yeah, look, I would definitely hate to be that Lickitung right now. These X's is definitely going to just keep on coming and keep on coming. Don't stop coming, because the shield does get forced up here from the Lickitung. And now it's actually going to be still a bit of a rough spot for Triple Crit, because now this Gligar has got a lot of health to sort of force through this Lickitung, and Lickitung's body slams are going to do a bit because it is a shadow Gligar, but it can take it pretty well, taking it down to about half health with a lot of energy. And it looks like Yakko is now going to be throwing for the first Aerial Ace, and even if a Triple Crit shields here, which he does, Yakko is going to be able to get a second Aerial Ace off here to keep the pressure onto that Lickitung, but Lickitung actually going to get the body slam off first. I think Yakko is sort of sitting here confident, like, okay, I'm okay, my Pokemon can take this, I'm fine, I'm going to survive, and I'm going to get this bigger dig off that is going to do even more than the Aerial Ace. And I think that this will be enough to KO that low health Lickitung, and that is going to be that. And Jakubowicz taking out game 5 of the winners finals and securing himself a spot in the grand finals, having to take on the winner of Triple Crit versus, sorry, I can't read that. What's the other name of the losers finals, Claire?
You're not going to make me say it, surely.
Oh, well, I mean, now you've said that, you sort of have to, right? Please.
Yes, we went into the losing finals. That's right, myself and Triple Crit.
Well,
the best female battler in Australia, we have Rocket Claire.
Let's bring these goobers back in. But yes, Rocket Claire versus Triple Crit. I mean, Triple Crit really pushing Jakubowicz to the line there, pushing it all the way to a game 5. And so now Claire's got to face off. I mean, we don't want to take too many spoilers here, but Claire, do you want to give us a little bit of a, like, I guess, maybe even a hint as to what you were sort of thinking going into this matchup up against Triple Crit?
Yeah, it's a really tricky, like, obviously that was my first time going into day 2. And I think what is really difficult is you don't want to think too far ahead, but you don't want to only think about the matchup that you've got first. You don't know what's going to happen. And obviously, if I hadn't have beaten Avrip, then that would have been all I had to worry about. But you don't want to think that way. You want to think positively. I'm going to go right through and keep battling. So fortunately or unfortunately, I had faced Triple Crit the day before. I went down 1-2. However, I felt that we had a really even matchup, and I felt, reasonably okay. I've battled Triple Crit before. He's an amazing, like I've said, amazing battler, really, really tough, and I knew it would be really tough. However, I was really excited. It's such an exciting thing to make a day 2. First time ever. I was super pumped. I was calm, confident, comfortable. Just basically excited to play someone who's a good friend who I've played many times, and, just let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. All right, let's throw
Excellent.
it
Thank you
over.
for that director's commentary.
It's something that you don't get very often. It's sort of that sort of I guess
No.
view into the mind of those who are actually going into it. So really grateful to have Claire here to give that to us. But let's jump into Claire's battles up against Triple Crit. And again, we won't make Claire cast her own battles. You know, we petitioned for it, but she said no, never, not in a million years. But regardless, we wouldn't do that to her. But take it away, guys.
Thank you so much, Steve and Claire. And yes, here we are. We see the lineups here. And look at that Shadow Gligar there for Triple Crit. It's looking lovely. So for this, I'm going to focus on what I love about Triple Crit's team. And I'm going to be completely biased. And because I told him before he was team building, I think Azu fits really well into this meta. I think it's got that great matchup against the Gligar. 8 coming in helps it. Look at that Altaria. Does not want a bit of the blue bunny. But it also has a fairly neutral matchup against Whiscash. It's not great. There's win cons on either side, but it can do a lot of damage to it. So it's not a counter, but it's got play. So I think Triple Crit, especially in this matchup here, that Azu is looking delightful. Does not want a bar, though, of that Lantern or the Registeel. I mean, it doesn't have the Hydro Pump as we've seen, which would be nice for the Registeel. But still going to lose that matchup. So I think Azu's going to play really strong for Triple Crit in this matchup. And I don't see as much use for the Bastiodon here. He's already got the Azu for the Altaria. Yeah, I'm interested to see how these teams come out and play, both with the Shadow Gligar, both with the Lickitung. But I think that Azu's really going to be the big trump card for Triple Crit.
Yeah, well, with Rocket Claire's team, we have Altaria. We've seen a lot of Annihilate. Remember that the Annihilate is running the Night Slash. We have Shadow Gligar, Lantern, Best Buddy Lickitung, and we have the Registeel. Something that I know because I was there on day one. When they had their matchup in day one, Triple Crit was able to eke out a 2-1 victory, but only because in the end game he caught a body slam from Lickitung on his Bastiodon. So we know that this is a really evenly matched side here. I think so long as Rocket Claire's Altaria can avoid Triple Crit's Azu and Bastiodon, it is in a really strong spot to be able to set up the rest of the team for a really good end game. I think that the Registeel is a bit of a polarizing Pokemon in this matchup here because whilst it has great matchups against Azu and Bastiodon and Lickitung to a certain degree, Charjabug is not as safe a matchup as you might think it is. Gligar, as we know, is not a great matchup, and Annihilate is no real fun for anything either. I think similar to what I was saying for the Rocket Claire versus Avrit matchup, I think that the Lantern is something that for Rocket Claire, if she can play that into the right position, has the ability to sweep through quite a lot of these lines because it's only taking neutral from Charjabug, and if it's in a strong spot against Charjabug with a little bit of an energy advantage, that can turn into a pretty positive matchup. And I think as well, Shadow Gligar is really going to be the source in this matchup for Rocket Claire. And if that Shadow Gligar can get a little bit of energy plus a shield advantage, there's not a whole lot that's going to be resisting it. And into that Azu as well, if it can get a fair bit of energy lead, it can be really dangerous against Azu because it does take Azu a minimum of 5 bubbles to get to a move. So it'll be interesting to see how she plays around that. I expect that we're probably going to see Lickitung in most matches for Claire as well, just because it is so neutral into so much. It's got so much bulk. You can help to stall the clock out and lead with moves. And it's going to be a very tight match here. Let's remember as well, Trotter, that we are looking at a best of 5 now. So quite often with these best of 5 matches, players can lose that first one and it can tell them a little bit about what their opponent is thinking. I think, look, I noticed that, the Rocket Claire and Triple Crit clearly are very good friends that have known each other for a long time. And I think that that does play a little bit into how they interact with each other. So I think that I'm pretty ready to go in. Do you have any final thoughts before we go into the battles, Trotter?
Oh, look, honestly, I just want to see triple crit go down. No, no, no. I love these two. These are two of my closest friends in Pogo PvP scene, and I was like, this was the thing I missed the most, not being there to see these two battles, and I'm so privileged and happy that we get to cast it here now. So, Steve, roll the tape. Let's go.
Here we go. Game 1.
And we've got Claire's side, and it is the Lantern into the Lickitung. This is, again, a very neutral matchup. We can't see the teams in the back lines, so we don't know how important switch advantage is here. And incoming a move from Triple Crit with those wings, those lovely Ho-Oh wings he's got. And is it going to be the Power Whip? It is the Power Whip, and it lands. That's huge.
Yeah, landing that power whip so early on is a really big deal here, but we've got to remember that Lantern has so much energy. If it lands this Thunderbolt, it's going to be the match is going to continue in a very neutral situation. And so let's see what happens here. Yep, going to get to the surf before that Lickitung gets to a second power whip. Although I imagine the triple crit is probably looking to double up on body slams and throw those through for some chip damage. And it's going to come in with its own counter swap, Claire, of Lickitung here. Lickitung versus Lickitung.
Yeah, as we saw in those last matchups, using the Lickitung to soak up any energy. And I imagine Triple Crit's going to dip out here now into what I hope is a Lickitung counter. No, choosing to throw the second body slam. So wanting a little bit more damage before potentially getting out. I don't know. Maybe he's going to stay in and just let it get licked down. Wow.
It's interesting here, but I kind of like what his play is here, because what Triple Crit I think is trying to do here is not have any one Pokemon switch locked after this Lickitung goes down for Claire, and I think that's really clever. Able to take out quite a lot of damage, do quite a lot of damage to Rocket Claire's Lickitung, and Lickitung is now going for a bait here with the body slam. Let's see if he calls this bait, and he's called the bait, and that body slam has done almost nothing. And now coming through with the Power Whip. This Power Whip's going to do a fair bit of neutral damage.
We saw it before. It does do a lot, and unfortunately, we're struggling to see. And there is the counter down. So this Annihilate actually has a nice little amount of energy after countering down that Lickitung. No shields have been used in this matchup. And Claire bringing in the Gligar. The third Pokemon has been revealed. Gligar, and we know that Triple Crit has the Ice Punch, so out comes the shield from Rocket Claire. I think Triple Crit might even outpace to the next Ice Punch here if he doesn't get fast move down. Is she going to get there? It does. Fast move down. That's really, really beneficial for Rocket Claire.
That's big for Rocket Claire. Let's see what is going to be hanging around in the back here for Triple Crit. This is going to really call how the game finishes up. Remember that Lickitung has got very, very little health left. And we're going to see the first aerial ace coming through. And I think it's against an opposing Shadow Gligar. Did I read that correctly? Yes, I did. Okay.
And no shield. Crit is just not shielding anything at the moment. Is he saving it for matches maybe 3? If there might not even be a 4 and a 5 if he doesn't start shielding.
You know, it's very difficult when we've got this sort of view, because we can't tell. I can't tell if whether the Lickitung for Triple Crit left with any energy or not. I know that the Lantern has gone down, or it's very close to energy dry. So this is just going to be mirror match, aerial ace after aerial ace to see what ends up happening here. Or maybe we might see a catch coming up in a minute. Let's wait and see.
A catch would be absolutely huge. And she does attempt the catch here. It does not come off. Is she going to outpace before the dig to get to the surf? I'm turning my head on the side. I can't see. No. And it looks like the dig is coming through for Triple Crit.
The dig lands. The dig lands. That Gligar's got a fair bit of energy, and it's going to land an aerial ace here. And that's what happens sometimes. You go for the catch, and if you get it, it's really good for you. And if it doesn't quite get it, then unfortunately that's a game over, and that's what we've seen there. Really well played. Great patience by Triple Crit not to throw immediately. And yeah, that's all where the win con was there. Very close match, though.
Extremely close. And Rocket Claire 100% played to her win con in that as well, right? She needed the catch to get over the line. She was behind on energy. I assume she was counting because I couldn't see. So really well done but there was no mistake. There were only good things from both of those battlers there, I felt.
Yeah, I think what really held the key to that matchup there was Triple Crit staying in with his Lickitung to do as much damage into the Lickitung safe spot. And by staying in there and getting Claire's Lickitung down to such a low health before making the swap, that was really impactful for the end game.
Yeah, and actually allowed that Annihilate to actually come out with the energy to get those shields back off of the Shadow Gligar. I was quite surprised. Must have just gotten to the second Ice Punch when he got Wing attacked down. That's really poor. When the Wing attacks took down the Annihilate.
Yeah.
But really well done from both battlers. Crit was just able to edge out at the end there with the Gligar and the energy, and no Azu.
Yeah, really surprised not to see an Azu there. As we know that when these 5-game sets do become a bit more of a chess match as opposed to checkers, and maybe there is a reasoning for that. Maybe we're going to see that this Azu is going to come through, or maybe Triple Crit is just afraid to bring the Azu and potentially have it stuck on Lantern or Registeel, and would much rather just be playing the neutral game with some of his other Pokemon. So I think we should go into game 2 now and let's see what lineups these guys use. I think apparently we might have both phones footages here. No? Okay, so we've still only got the one.
The Basti. Warface himself and choosing to stay in against this Lantern for a little bit. Is he going to stay in and get energy, or is he going to be throwing a move? No, so Claire getting to the surf first. Wow, Basti is just doing whatever it feels like. It's going to take super effective damage here, Crit. He doesn't care.
Yeah, a little bit of a lucky move timing there from Rocket Claire. Letting Triple Crit sneak through the Smackdown. This Stone Edge does a lot of neutral matchup, and this is why Bastiodon can be so strong in any of these sorts of matchups, because these more neutral matchups where there's not a whole lot of fast move damage, it really does a huge amount, and we're going to see that coming through. Is she going to throw this Surf here? She's just a little bit slow there. She's going to use a shield, and I think the Triple Crit is sort of looking like he's in the driver's seat for this matchup now, but it really depends on what he's bringing in the back here.
Yeah, the backmons are so critical. After choosing to not, try and maintain switch, lets the Basti go. So having the shield advantage, even though this Lantern has a bit of energy, and out comes the Ape. And Ape, this Surf is going to do a nice amount of damage to this Ape. It's neutral, but as we've seen, Ape's not that bulky.
No, you're right. So, and Triple Crit has made the same read that you have there. He's thrown up the shield and he's coming in with a little bit of energy. I imagine that he might be throwing an Ice Punch and dipping here. Trying. Oh, and it's a no shield from Claire. Well, she knows that Gligar with almost full health can take this Ice Punch and not go down. But he's going to make this swap out now into his own Gligar. We're going to see the Aerial Ace thrown. Claire attempted to push the switch button for the Lickitung, so I imagine we're going to see a swap immediately. And this is going to be a very tricky endgame for Claire here.
Very tricky indeed. The catch there has actually played really nicely into Triple Crit's favor, because that Gligar doesn't have the energy when the Annihilate comes back in the back. So we've got this matchup here in front of us, but there's still that little matchup in the background that you always have to remember when these top battlers are always thinking about the rest of the battle, not just the Pokemon that's in front of them. And the shield comes out from Triple Crit.
Yeah, well, the great thing was that Claire was able to shield that first dig, but now this Gligar has got a lot of energy, and her Triple Crit's switch time is going to be coming up fairly soon. So if able to swap out and then come in with Annihilate and get a couple of counters worth of energy, it's going to be able to sit at the Ice Punch ready for when the Gligar comes back in. So this is a really tricky spot for Claire to be in. Triple Crit has allowed the Gligar to go down, and looking to try and get a catch, hasn't quite been able to get it there.
Oh, and counted down too. That was really unfortunate. Claire not able to get to the Aerial Ace there. Double resisted body slam onto the Ghost type, trying to do everything you can to try and win the match. That's the spirit. They never go down. Whatever you've got, throw it and try and win. But unfortunately here, Triple Crit was able to come out with just too much energy on that Ape.
Yeah, I think that you were right. That catch mid-game, in the mid-game, really made a big difference for how the end-game scenario played out there. And I think that Triple Crit allowing his Bastiodon to do so much neutral damage against the Lantern, but then go down and maintain shield advantage, meant that Annihilate was able to really control the game as it moved towards the end of that matchup. And that's really what we've seen there. And what we're seeing is that Triple Crit has had a mastery of being able to pick where the win cons are going to come from and being able to read the end game scenarios so that he's in a really strong position for how he needs to play in order to have the right energy when it goes down to the wire at the end.
And let's not give him too much credit. He's using a Bastiodon. It's landing in places where it wants to be. So let's not give Triple Crit too much credit for being this amazing battler. He's using Bastiodon. Let's point that down. But let's jump straight into battle number 3, because can Rocket Claire come back in this fight and put Triple Crit down in the ground and annihilate into Azu? Not amazing for Rocket Claire. And we've got a double swap in. And actually, this is very interesting now, because Lickitung can flip this matchup.
Yeah, so if Claire's able to land this early Power Whip, we're going to be looking at a really tricky endgame here. And we were wondering when we were going to see this Azu show up, and the Azu's shown up now. I'm really looking as close as I can to the screen, and I can see that Claire does have that Lantern sitting in the back. So she might be looking to fight really hard for switch advantage here, because if she can get the alignment here, she's going to have Lantern onto Azu.
Which, as we all know, super critical. Good way to win is to get that switch advantage back. And not quite able to get to the Power Whip. So down goes that Lickitung. And looking at what do we come into here? It comes in with the Annihilate. Claire has the Night Slash, so this is quite beneficial to Claire. We'll get there before the Annihilate gets to the Ice Punch 1 counter earlier, and this will 100% take out. Triple Crit using a shield.
Using a shield here. Is Claire going to shield? This is potentially a Shadow Ball coming through. No shield. Shadow Ball lands, and that does a one-shot. She's putting it all on the back of the Lantern. Is Lantern going to be able to light up the screen here and take this win for her? Well, we've got the Azu. This is a dominant matchup here, throwing the Thunderbolt. The Thunderbolt's going to do massive, super effective damage. And we're not sure what the final Pokemon's going to be for Triple Crit here. Let's see if we can have a Lantern sweep on our hands.
I feel like we do here. And using the shield, because this could be the play rough. And if it is a play rough, they might even be, Rocket Claire, might even be able to farm down from here. Knows all the counts very well. And it's hard to see with that thumb in the way. But it looks like, yes, we are going. No, okay, so she's done the math and needs a Surf just to chip that last little bit of damage. Keeping that Lantern healthy, does not want to eat another play rough.
And it all comes down to what's in the back here. What's in the back? Based on what we've seen so far, you'd assume it would be Shadow Gligar. But we're waiting. And it is the Shadow Gligar coming in. I think that Claire's going to outpace, and she's going to be able to get to 2 of these Surfs before Triple Crit can get to a dig. Do we have a potential catch on our hands? That's the question. Is Triple Crit's able to get the catch? No, he's not. Really good timing from Claire there, throwing right in the middle of that wing attack. And this Surf is going to KO. And I think that Claire has taken this game.
Yeah, the 8 is not going to be able to do too much. And not enough health. Fast move down. Claire's back in the race.
I think Triple Crit throwing that Shadow Ball to take out the Annihilate in the mid game there that Claire let go meant that when it swapped out, it had no energy. And that's what set up Lantern to be able to get that sweep in the end game. Really well played. Really well played. Great timing, great position to bring Lantern into. And we saw Azu for the first time come into the match, but it ended up where it didn't want to be, right on that Lantern with shield disadvantage.
Yeah, exactly. Like Claire, you think you know that they've got the Azu, you've got the Lantern hidden. You're going to fight everything for switch. But she took the shield advantage, which was still enough to enable her Lantern to absolutely take out the whole 3 of Triple Crit's Pokemon. Lantern sweet. Absolutely brilliant. She's going to have to keep it up, though. We're into the championship rounds, match number 4. Let's get straight into it, Steve.
Straight into it. Let's see if the reverse sweep is on. And
mirror.
Gligar into Gligar mirror match. Here we go. And so this kind of depends a little bit on CMP, and it also can depend on when you throw, but we've seen a quick early swap into the Azu, and we're seeing a Lickitung coming into the Azu from Claire. Triple Crit's a little bit ahead on energy, probably throwing the play rough first up here. I wonder whether the Azu has been brought in here to try and lure something out from Claire's side.
Yeah, you have to think that Triple Crit's trying to lure out the Lantern. But if we look, Lantern's not there, but we have the Altaria in the back for Rocket Claire.
Very interesting. Very interesting, because Altaria, if it can get shield advantage against Triple Crit's team, so long as there's no Bastiodon in the back, and now there's no Azu in the back, could be looking at a really strong endgame scenario for them. So Claire, still with this Lickitung, is building up energy. A Power Whip's going to go very, very close to being able to KO from here. Really good timing right before the Azu gets to the move. This Power Whip's coming through. Is the Power Whip going to go unshielded? No, it doesn't. The shield comes up.
And yes, Rocket Claire playing out the 2 shields, so quite happy to give up this next shield for the option of a switch advantage. And Crit's either going to let it go. Oh, is that a catch? It looks like there was a catch on the Gligar from Triple Crit.
Catch on the Gligar, but this Power Whip's still going to do neutral, which is a fair bit of damage here. And we're going to see Claire bringing in her own Gligar, is able to hit the aerial ace before Triple Crit has been able to hit his aerial ace. And let's see how much damage this does. This will get close to taking out, but not quite enough. I think one wing attack is going to be enough to take out Triple Crit's Gligar. And the question is, what is in the back here for him to be making these sorts of plays?
Yeah, what is in there? Is it that wall face? Because that was going to be a huge obstacle for Rocket Claire to overcome. Or is he going to come back in with that Lickitung? Because there's still 2 Pokemon remaining. And yes, Azu. Sorry, not the Lickitung, the Azu.
All right, so we've got Azu here. I think that this dig's going to be enough. But if it is a Bastiodon in the back, well, not quite enough. Now it's gone down. If it's a Bastiodon in the back, I think Claire's in a really tough spot here. It's going to be Lickitung. So it is 1 versus 2, Lickitung versus Lickitung and Altaria. Claire just waiting out the timer a little bit before making the move in. That way she's got the opportunity to potentially go for a catch. And this is a really difficult matchup for both of these Pokemon. There's a lot of bulk. Lickitung's going to be spamming out body slams. If Claire is able to land a Moonblast and get a debuff, then that is going to greatly increase her chance for a win con here. She's throwing the Moonblast almost straight away as soon as she gets to it. Are we going to see a debuff here, Trotter?
Oh, I don't think she even needs the debuff from here. I think her Lickiting's so close to another move. Is she going to go for the catch? She's looked like she's drifting. Oh, she drifted for the catch, but it wasn't there. Is Crit? No, Crit's throwing a move. He's not going for the farm down.
This is going to be really close. The question is Crit going to get to back-to-back body slams before the Altaria is going to get to a move? I think that there must have been a little bit of an undercharge there, and I have a feeling the Crit might be at back-to-back body slams here, and this is going to be an incredibly close finish here. 1 turn fast move versus 1 turn fast move, and he does with 1 HP and a dream. That is a fantastic endgame finish there. Really well done by Crit. The body slam comes through, takes out the Altaria, and Crit moves on to the next round against Jakobovich.
Super close matchup there. Like literally 1 turn fast move. I'm pretty sure there was 1 Dragon Breath away from death for that Lickitung. So close in the final there. So massive congratulations to Rocket Claire here for securing 3rd place in this tournament. And I guess we're now moving on to the championship rounds. Is that no? How about we've got 2. That's right.
Like
we are. We're in the championship round.
Grand final time. And look, at that very end game there, if Rocket Claire hadn't gone for that catch to try and get that catch, then it still would have been a double body slam coming through from Lickitung. So, as we saw throughout all of those matches, Claire playing to her win cons and Crit just having that little bit of patience that was required in order to be able to win.
Yeah, no, really well played, Claire, and congrats on the big 3rd place as well. The influx of championship points, the prize pool as well. Played your absolute rocks off. So really well done.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I didn't pull it off, obviously, as you saw, but it still was fantastic battles. Great fun against a good friend, and I was absolutely chuffed with the outcome and with the winnings. So very, very happy with the weekend all round.
Oh, should be. I guess with that, and as you said, Trotter, it is grand finals time. It's time to bring in the final two, Jakobovic versus Triple Crit. These guys have played 5 games already, and it got all the way to game number 5, with Yako being able to take it out. So now going to the grand finals, it is the case that Yako's got that winner's advantage. So Triple Crit needs to get the bracket reset to be able to push through into the next set and to try and close out the tournament. So I guess, Claire, let's get into it again. I mean, we've seen these teams before, but we'll take a look at them again and now. Oh, hang on. I had the wrong screen on there for a second, but we're here eventually. So, I mean, look, Claire, again, we've looked at these teams. We've played it through before. I guess there's a little bit of a recap for those that have sort of joined since the last time that these two played in the winners finals. I think the big Pokemon really making the name for themselves are Triple Crit's Bastiodon is really forcing Jakobovic to think about it when he's putting his teams together. He's said after the fact that he couldn't bring any teams that would double weak to Whiscash, the double weak to Bastiodon, sorry. So really sort of limits his team options. And then that Whiscash is a really difficult Pokemon for Triple Crit to try and counter. In the previous set, we saw Yako win 2 games in a row with Abomasnow, Gligar, Whiscash, and then we saw we saw Triple Crit win 2 games in a row with Annihilate, Azumarill, Lickitung. And so it's really just a crapshoot. They're both just throwing absolutely everything at each other. And Claire, I have no clue how this first game's going to go. Like, these guys are wild.
Yeah, I was there. I don't have any clue either because it was really hard to see. I think we're all trying to stay out of the way of the people who are actually filming because we knew that was a really important role. We could mostly see the reactions of the battlers, and as I explained before, they were super animated. Lots of hands flying around to various parts of their head, and heads rolling around, not quite all the way around, but almost at some stages, and lots of emotion and a bit of banter back and forth. It was really, really exciting. I sort of think after our discussions and the first lot of 5 battles that we saw where Triple Crit brought the Bastiodon for the first couple of battles and then decided that wasn't the greatest idea because Yako was ready for it every time, he put it away for the next 3 battles, but does he try and sneak it in again? It seems to be a bit of a comfort thing for him. He's really, really enjoying it, and he had some really good success with Bastiodon throughout the whole tournament. So is that something that he tries to get again and just tries to get lined up exactly where he wants it? We could see it. I don't know if it'll be in this next battle, though, Steve.
Yeah, look, it's definitely a Pokemon that is famous for rearing its head at some potentially surprise times. But also, Bastiodon has a little bit of a reputation of being a second-place pick at these Play Pokemon tournaments. I think we've seen Caleb Peng come second place with Bastiodon 3 times in a row. And then also we saw Rob Drogo coming second place in Perth last year with the Bastiodon. So it's definitely got quite a reputation for that second-place finish. So Triple Crit really looking to break the formula and be, I think, the first. Oh, actually, I was about to say something false. I was going to say the first regional winner of all time with Bastiodon, but no, because Rob Drogo actually accomplished it in the first year of Play Pokemon in the 2022 season. So potentially the Aussies really got Bastiodon's back. But I guess we'll jump into the game, see if that Bastiodon can sort of surprise us by rearing its head. But these guys can really run anything. So let's jump into game number 1 of the grand finals for the championship, and we have Annihilate into the Whiscash. A really dangerous spot here with this Annihilate because it is not very bulky, can take a lot of damage, and as we sort of mentioned, sort of needs to land the Shadow Ball to be able to take out the Whiscash. If Annihilate can't land Shadow Ball, then it's going to go down, and takes a big skull to start as well. So going straight for it, if this Shadow Ball does not land on the Whiscash, then Whiscash can pretty much guarantee that it's going to be able to win this matchup, and does get a shield out of Yako over there. So this is going to be a loss for Annihilate, which means that Triple Crit is going to have to make a decision. Does he want to bring in the Azumarill, or does he want to bring in the Lickitung? And to be honest, Claire, I feel like you could really go either way here.
Yeah, look, either the Azumarill or the Lickitung are strong. His thumb's going from one to the other, and there it goes for the Azumarill. He's going to try and bubble down this Whiscash, and making the right call there, I think, letting that Annihilate take a shield and then go down so that he can come in and farm up with Azumarill. Obviously, Azumarill versus Lickitung isn't usually as favourable for the Azumarill, so we'll see if he throws his play rough, takes a chuck out of the Lickitung, and does he swap out here? Yes, he does. He loves swapping into his own Lickitung and absorbing any damage. And this Lickitung matchup, I've got to say, Steve, I saw this a lot last weekend, and I'm a bit over it.
I think we
there
all
are a lot of Lickitungs on almost every team.
Oh yeah, look, I mean, they say that the best counter to a Lickitung safe swap is a Lickitung safe swap, and these guys are definitely going all in on that strategy. We saw that, Yakko's Lickitung took a little bit of damage first, so that tends to give a bit of an advantage to Triple Crit's Lickitung with a lot more of a health advantage. But once you get to that last little bit of health, you really have to start to think, okay, do I need to burn a shield on my Lickitung? Is it really important for me to have switch advantage? Because we can see Triple Crit's team, we can see that he's not running the Bastiodon here, so he doesn't need switch advantage as he might in some other games. But regardless, he's really going to make some calls. What do I think Yakko is running? What have I got, and what do I need to be able to do? Because we can see Triple Crit's Azumarill just sort of sitting there. And if there's, for example, a charge bug in the back for Yakko, then this Lickitung is going to be a lot more important to try and get some damage off, because that Azumarill would not be able to do very much up against a charge bug. But we've finally hit the end of the Lickitung versus Lickitung Mirror Claire. It's going to go one way or the other, and the question becomes, does Yakko let this go? And he does.
Yeah, so Yakko obviously not as concerned about winning switch there. The Blue Bunny comes in against the Whiscash and is going to eat a move. Triple Crit deciding not to shield, and he's copping a Scald, not getting the debuff, which is quite fortunate for Triple Crit, but Whiscash is going to fire off another move. So it was absolutely loaded with energy. Triple Crit deciding not to shield again. So 2 Skulls coming through. Let's see. Oh. Not a debuff again. Goodness me. And here comes the Charger Bug. Okay, so Charger Bug, very favourable against the Azumarill, but not so bulky. So the Azumarill is going to get the play rough off, and this will do quite a bit on this Charger Bug. Let's see how much it does. And Yakko deciding to shield and keep that Charger Bug nice and healthy. And he's going to farm down that Azumarill and get as much energy built up as possible. Those Volt Switches coming through, and the Azumarill, though, tanky enough to survive and get off the Ice Beam, and does do a little bit to the Charge Bug. Charge Bug loaded with energy now. Triple Crit has saved his 2 shields, though, Steve. So this is going to be very interesting, very close in this endgame.
Oh yeah, this is going to be so tight. Has to shield out the move here. The question is, can Lickitung get to a Body Slam before Charger Bug can get to another X-Scissor? Because one X-Scissor is all that he's going to need to take out this Lickitung, and he's going for the Body Slam. Is this going to be enough to take out the Charger Bug? But even if he does, there's still a Pokemon in the back. Body Slam goes through, not quite enough, but licks down the Charger Bug, and now coming in from the back, we have the Whiscash, and now it is going to be a fast move down, and Lickitung takes it out with the lick coming through to take out. That was game 1 of the grand finals. How closer can you get? Oh my goodness, Claire.
That was incredibly close. So the last few battles we've seen have been really close, and Triple Crit no stranger to that, just holding his nerve there and just able to get those extra licks off. There was just nothing in that though, Steve, and very exciting start to these grand finals for sure.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I thought that once that Charger Bug came out, I was like, okay, game's done here. There's nothing that Triple Crit can do. Actually, the score is the wrong way around. My bad on that one. But like, it's just like there's so much power in that Charger Bug, just pushing all its way through. We can go 0 to the 1. There we go. Fixed.
I wonder if it's got specifically good IVs, or he's just saved his shiny and wants to show it off just for us.
Yeah, look, I will have to. I mean, I think he's in the chat. He can sort of let us know whether he's actually gone for the good IV one there. But somehow, like, Triple Crit's Lickitung just really hanging on for dear life, able to get so much Body Slam spammage throughout that entire game, and really just like saving the 2 shields till the very end turned out to be really clutch for Triple Crit. And we sort of saw that in the last round against you, actually, Claire, as well, that Triple Crit is really good at holding onto his shields, saving them to deploy them when they're most needed, and being able to just maneuver his way through a lot of matchups that feels like he should lose. And when you've got basically this full health electric type coming into a relatively low health water type, and a normal type without any super effective moves, it feels like a case that shouldn't be winnable, but somehow he did it.
Yeah, he's played Lickitung beautifully, and we've seen that in quite a few battles already. And I do believe, I recall some conversations actually after the battles had all concluded. He did only make that Lickitung, I think, the night before the tournament started on the Friday evening. And it's a particular IV spread that he was looking for. So he already had one. He wanted one that wasn't a best buddy though, and he can probably tell us in the chat exactly what he was going for there, because I think it's very interesting, these last minute tactics looking at particular break and bulk points. These top battlers all study into these aspects meticulously, and it shows through in the battles. And when it comes through and you get the advantage and you win a really close battle, I feel like it's just so rewarding having spent that extra time and that extra energy investing in your Pokemon and ensuring that you've got, the ultimate IV spread that you want to win the battle.
Oh yeah, it's incredibly important, especially at this like high level when you're sort of facing these other guys like Yakovovich, who is one of the best in the world. With an winning the previous 2 tournaments in a row. Well, actually, ignoring World Championships, he won the OCIC and then he won Brisbane Regional Championship. He's coming for another one here. It's just like when you're playing these guys that are at the top of their game, you've really got to bring your all, and knowing exactly what your Pokemon can do with certain IVs can be really important as well. So let's get into game number 2, seeing how these two do sort of adjust. We'll see if Triple Crit decides to run the exact same team again, because that's a strategy that we saw him employ in the previous set against Yakko. But let's jump in. Game number 2 of the grand finals, and it's the Basti. Oh my gosh, we've got the Basti against the Lickitung. A quick swap into Whiscash, a quick swap into Azumarill, and now it is back to Neutralville, population 2 water types. And so now it is actually going to be a game, Claire, where we have to be really worried about the switch advantage. We need to avoid the Whiscash on the Bastiodon, and we want to land the Bastiodon on anything that's weak to it. So let's see how this game goes and see whether actually Triple Crit going for the Ice Beam as well. So how is this matchup going to play out, Claire? Azumarill versus Shadow Whiscash?
Actually, we're already seeing, so Yakovovich shielding up straight away, and Triple Crit using his Ice Beams to try and get those shields. They both know from the previous battles that we've already seen that this can be extremely close and that Whiscash can easily flip this matchup. So Triple Crit knows he needs to try and get rid of this Whiscash. He doesn't want to see it anymore. He's seen enough of it in the earlier battles. And shielding up his Azumarill to a Mud Bomb. It hurts to do that, right? But the Shadow Whiscash just does so much damage that you've really got to try your hardest to keep your Azumarill healthy and be able to get off these charge moves. The bubbles themselves will add up as well. It'll be interesting to see. Okay, so the Whiscash has already had another move. Triple Crit has a huge decision to make here. Is he going to allow Yakovovich to win switch? And he's letting it go. It just survives and allowed Yako to take him out. Okay, so is Triple Crit's happy to bring the Bastiodon in. Oh, and a catch. So he's very cleverly there. Got a few smackdowns in on his Bastiodon. Yako has thrown the Mud Bomb and it's been caught on the Lickitung. So the good old Lickitung that we keep talking about for Triple Crit, it's really a comfort mon for him. And here we have, again, the Lickitung mirror, which we already spoke about. And, oh boy, Steve, I don't know, we probably need some elevator music for this one, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, we can make it ourselves. A little bit of doo-ba-doo-doo-doo, doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. We can play some light jazz, but yeah, you're right. These guys are both coming into this with Lickitung being a very safe Pokemon. As everyone knows, Lickitung, one of the safest Pokemon out there, and so we're sort of coming back into this where it has gone the other way. This time, I think Triple Crit brought in his Lickitung first, and then Yakko came to respond. Because there wasn't as much of a health disadvantage like we saw in the previous game, it does mean that they're going to be very close on health, and the extra energy is really going to be the important factor here to be able to win out this matchup. But again, we've sort of just got to come back to what they've got in the back, and there is still that Bastiodon. They're sort of actually going to come in early to try and get a little bit of energy on this Lickitung. Lickitung can't do a whole lot to this Bastiodon where you are running resisted body slams, and then you have the power whip, which isn't going to do a ton of damage like we can see here. It does absolutely tickles the Bastiodon, and oh my gosh, it's the Gligar coming out in the back again. So we do have, again, some chance to get some damage from the Basti on here because it does have that flying typing, but that ground typing really just going to weaken it down. And actually burning this shield here as well. So, Triple Crit does still have a shield in tow, but he's got such little health in the back on his Lickitung, and this Bastiodon, even if you get one shield here, I don't think that you're going to be able to win this matchup up against Gligar. I think Gligar is going to be able to get up to another dig and just absolutely demolish this Bastiodon, but I guess not before a Stone Edge comes through, so Gligar is at least going to be weakened down to quite a bit.
Yeah, look, it'd be nice to see a catch here, but I think Yakovovich is too clever to throw right at the move, although, there we go. And the phone goes down. Here comes the dig, and that is going to do an awful lot on the Bastiodon. Yeah, there we go. The whole wall face going down with that dig, and then a very low health Lickitung coming in. Yako, okay, getting to the move, but Yako has got 3 Pokemon in the back, so he pretty much had the full advantage there, and I can understand the phone going down at that stage. It definitely was a fairly decisive position to be in.
Yeah, look, the old 3v1 is definitely a tough spot to be in, but you can see his vision there where, you know, he was trying to lick down the Gligar. He had a body slam ready to go, and he wanted to be able to employ it onto one of the other Pokemon in the back to make sure he could sort of win out that matchup. But unfortunately, the Gligar just had a little bit too much energy. It was able to get to the move just before Lickitung was able to sort of get there. And yeah, you know, we sort of saw the phone slowly moving down towards the table as those last few plays sort of came out. And, you know, a shout out again, you know, Zoe for the great sort of camera follow, making sure we don't miss out on the action after she swapped over to the other side to be able to see the other teams. But yeah, no, really solid job there. But it does mean that in the grand finals here, we are tied up to 1-1 in this best of 5 set. They've both tried multiple different things. Bastiodon has not won a single game against Yakko here. So like every time Bastiodon comes out, it does not win. So I feel like at this point, Triple Crit sort of just has to get the hint that Bastiodon clearly isn't working for him. He's got to think of like a different way to try and crack through Yakko's team. Yakko, he did run, you know, he's run 2 different teams this time. He's not sticking to his strategy of running the same every time. Maybe that's partially because Triple Crit was able to win that first battle, but we'll see if he sort of clicks into that now that he's like, okay, I found a formula that works. Let's run it back, because that does seem to be in Yakko's wheelhouse. And if I was Triple Crit, that's what I would be expecting going into this game, that he's going to be running that exact same team of the Lickitung lead with the Whiscash and the Gligar in the back, which actually he didn't lead Lickitung once in their first set in the winners final. So he's actually sort of potentially surprised Triple Crit a little bit here with that Lickitung lead. But regardless, I guess, have you got any big lead predictions, Claire, going into sort of this game number 3?
Yeah, I was just going to say Lickitung lead is really interesting. I can see that a lot of battlers use it when they're really not sure. They're really not sure what's going to happen. And you know, let's just suss things out. Let's lead the Lickitung. It's so neutral. Unless your opponent has a super hard counter to it, it kind of helps you to suss things out. You have a lot of play. You have options as far as switches, catches, you know, what are you going to do? You don't necessarily need to use your shields up front. So to me, the Lickitung lead does kind of make sense when you're in that early sort of game scenario, sort of early in the set. And yeah, I mean, these two, like I keep saying, they know each other so well. I wouldn't assume that that Triple Crit would think that Yakko is going to use the same line again, or he might anticipate that he will, having seen him do that so much in the first set of 5 battles. So it's going to be really interesting, and I think, Steve, we should just get into it and see what happens.
Absolutely. Let's go. Game number 3 of the grand finals, and we have the same leads again. Bastiodon into the Lickitung, a quick swap into Whiscash, and a quick swap into Azumarill. Is this just game 2 again? It sure seems like it. They're running the exact same lineup in the back, and now it's just going to be, again, going for the player off. We'll see if the Scald debuffs come through this time, and we'll see who sort of comes out on top. But I think it is going to play out quite similar here. Actually going for the Mud Bomb here, just chipping down the Azumarill a little bit. You know, maybe even fishing for a shield somewhere, or just completely giving up on the concept of the Scald debuff and just going, whatever, it's fine. Let's just keep going through these Mud Bombs and see how this plays out as Triple Crit goes for that Ice Beam, just as we saw in the previous game.
Yeah, are you sure you aren't just replaying the same footage, Steve? Because my goodness me, this reminds me so much of the first game, and I guess any slight change from either battler could change up the outcomes. So it'll be interesting to see if they follow the same pattern. You can't quite see how much health Azu has got there, but it's going to be able to tank that Mud Bomb. Again, Triple Crit knowing he'd be able to tank it, not wanting to waste a shield. He can get the energy off without, you know, having to use one of his precious shields. And there goes the play rough into that Shadow Whiscash, which has got it quite low. These bubbles will do a little bit as well, but I think the Whiscash, yes, is going to be able to get rid of that Azu now and build up a little bit of energy. Interesting to see. Triple Crit last time brought the Bastiodon in very quickly, and we've got a little bit of a freeze there. No, straight into the Lickitung this time to soak up some energy, as it does so well, and soak up some of that charge move, and it's going to handle the Scald quite well. No attack debuff once again, so being fairly unlucky with those Scald debuffs is Ankomovich. Licky comes back in, and okay, we've got the Shadow Gligar coming in to counter Old Wall Face once again. Look, like you said earlier, Steve, this isn't the most straightforward matchup. Despite the fact that the Shadow Gligar's digs do so much to the Bastiodon, those smackdowns do a lot to the part flying type Shadow Gligar. So we are seeing its health go down fairly quickly. Triple crit shielding up and being baited with an aerial ace. So that is fairly decisive, I think. He sort of had no choice than to try and protect his Bastiodon. However, that's just unfortunate because now Yako is going to be ahead on energy. He's got a second guess. This time it was the dig, so shielding correctly, but really got to utilise those shields and try and get to that stone edge because that will do an awful lot to the Gligar. This is going to really hurt though, and here we see the phone moving around a little bit. Zoe's doing a great job to follow, and the dig comes through, and yeah, getting the Bastiodon extremely low. This stone edge will take out this Gligar though, and so this is going to be very interesting to see how the things play out in the back.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
got Lickitung coming in. Not the best matchup, obviously, but and Triple Crit going back to his comfort zone, Lickitung, and here it comes, and it's going to send up a body slam, Steve.
Yeah, look, we've sort of gotten rid of the Gligar, we've gotten rid of the Whiscash, the Azumarill, like sort of throwing out as well. We're down to just, essentially, we've got a whole lot of bulk hanging out on the field now. We've got these Lickitungs and the Bastiodons, and, you know, someone's eventually going to come out on top. But, you know, you were exactly right in, like, Yako's sort of identification that he could go for that aerial ace bait and then succeed was absolutely huge for him, and has really put Triple Crit on the back foot here. You can see just how much lower his Lickitung's health is compared to Yako's. And that Bastiodon does not have much health either. So he's at least going to be able to get a body slam off here to try and weaken it down a little bit. But this is really looking like Triple Crit is going to be, it's going to be a bit of a nail biter, I think, because now it's just, can Yako get the full farm down? Can Triple Crit get another body slam? And he can actually get another body slam. That might be the health advantage that Triple Crit needs to be able to make this into a win, because with this body slam, like that sort of over half, oh my, was that charge attack priority even? Potentially one
I
short.
believe it was. So yeah, very lucky on Triple Kit's side to win CMP, and maybe that's that IV spread that he went for that we were talking about.
Oh yeah,
Not
you're exactly right.
sure. By the time is coming down, it's all happening. The Lickitung on Yako's side though has got to the move. See that come through. Oh, and it's a power whip. Okay.
Wow.
That was always going to take it out.
What a tight finish, though. I mean, really down to the wire. Again, it's sort of a case where I was sort of starting to ride off Triple Crit a little bit. I was like, oh, this is looking really bad. That Lickitung's got a lot of health. But being able to get that last second body slam, you know, weaken down Yako's Lickitung so low, put it into the realm of possibility that maybe, just maybe, the Bastiodon could sort of force its way over the line, especially after Yako's, you know, Lickitung threw the body slam as well. But unfortunately, that Lickitung just had way too much energy, and potentially this is sort of what was going through Yako's head. You know, like, I know that this is going to get down to this sort of last little bit. I'm going to need some energy, and, you know, had it there ready to go to get the big power whip off, taking out the Bastiodon, and like really just a really tight finish, as so many of these battles have been. This has been a little bit crazy, Claire.
Yeah, I mean, both battlers pulling out all the stops, and I think the interesting part about running back a battle that's identical to the previous one is seeing what they change up and what they've learned from the previous battle. And they did switch things up a little, and Alistair Triple Crit was almost able to turn it all around. So I dare say what we'll see coming into the next lineup, Steve, is they'll probably try and switch things up. I don't think either of them probably wants to replay that nail biter and have it cut so close. So definitely both these very experienced battlers will be looking at their lines and their matchups and working out what line of three they can bring that will perhaps surprise the other one.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I don't think we're going to see the same again. I'll be honest, Claire, I was a little bit worried. I was like, oh, have I somehow played the same battle twice? But, you know, no, it was very much just a case that they were really stuck into their strategies, playing it out for a second time in a row. And now it means that Jakobovic only needs to win one more battle to become the Melbourne Regional Champion at the match point, whereas Triple Crit needs to win another 2 before resetting the bracket and trying to go for another ride, let's say. So So let's go in for what is game number 4 of the grand finals, but it's game number 9 of these two playing it out in these day 2 battles. So let's jump in, take a look, and we're going to see a double Shadow Gligar lead. Both of them swapping out in quite fancy fashion here, and we can see the Annihilate and the Azumarill hanging out in the back. So as so many mirror matches go, when you started off in the lead, it is going to be a question here of who wants to burn the shields, who wants to keep their Gligar around, or who wants to try and catch a move, maybe try and catch an Aerial Ace into an Azumarill, or potentially a dig into, something wild in the back for Yakko. But the other possibility is that, we are going to see the catch into the Azumarill. So we're going to see Triple Crit giving up switch advantage, wanting to keep that Gligar around, recognizing that it might be a little bit important later on, and going to see what comes in. And it's going to be our greatest foe, greatest friend at the same time, Lickitung. At least this time, we're not going to see a Lickitung versus Lickitung mirror, right?
Yeah, we don't want to see another one of those. And look, that was a beautiful catch by Triple Crit, ahead now on energy, and is going to throw these play roughs. And despite the fact that the Lickitung will be building to a power whip, Azumarill is getting as much damage in as possible with those play roughs and the bubbles. Triple Crit not tapping on a shield here, so looking like he's just going to let this one go. Happy to let Azumarill just tank that power whip. He knows his Pokemon. He knows it's going to get to a play rough. Decision making here. Okay, and Yakko decided to throw straight away to get rid of the Azumarill before it could throw any more play roughs, and that was a big call for both of them, I think. Triple Crit deciding that he's going to just let that Azu go, because he can just bring in this Annihilate and punch all the way down with the Lickitung. He's going to face a charge move here. However, I'm not sure if Yakko was... Yeah, he was at the power whip. Does an awful lot to Annihilate, but Triple Crit deciding to save his shield there, and luckily still had this Gligar around to bring back in here. Much more favourable for him to have his Gligar against Yakko's Gligar and get off this Aerial Ace. So nice that he had that build up as well. So nice play there.
Yeah, a little bit of energy advantage. We are getting really low on the health all around here, and still all 4 shields in place. They're going to have to start using it at some point, and it turns out we do have the Whiscash in the back again. So Aerial Ace coming off from this Shadow Gligar to try and weaken down this Whiscash a little bit. Does Yakko finally use one of those shields? He does. Keeps that Whiscash a little bit healthy, and now he can almost mud shot all the way down. He's at least going to go for it, and oh my gosh, not even going for the Aerial Ace. That is such... I've had the nerves of steel to just keep on going, keep on farming. Oh my gosh. You're making me nervous on the sidelines.
Oh, and that was CMP. So Yakko's who's trying to get to that move before Triple Crit could get off that move. Wow. And so that Triple Crit obviously happy to let the Gligar, and now he's got the Annihilate back in, and he's got 2 shields. Annihilate is just so oppressive, such a high attack. And oh my goodness, with Yakko with no shields, yeah, he could just take that out very, very confidently, and just the Lickitung left. So very decisive end game from Triple Crit, finishing with 2 shields intact, finishing with that Annihilate, taking out 2 Pokemon, and wow, what a game that was, Steve. They definitely changed it up.
Oh yeah, that was definitely not a repeat of the previous 2 games. That was such incredible stuff. I mean, my gosh, these guys are a little bit cracked. I'm not sure if anyone's noticed, but they both seem to have quite a little bit of talent up their sleeves. And that just really nice. I guess actually what it really came down to in a lot of ways was that Gligar versus Whiscash matchup, where Triple Crit was sort of able to get all the way up to the dig up against Yakko. And Yakko, it looked like it was charge attack priority there. So really unfortunate for him. I'm actually not sure whether there's IV crossover, whereas Whiscash and Gligar, there's potential for it CMP to swap both ways, or CAP as we should be saying these days. But just really good identification, I guess, on Triple Crit side to be able to go for it, going like an Aerial Ace isn't going to be enough. Like, I know it's safe. I know that at any time Yakko could throw the move and take me out here, but if I want to win this game, I need to go all the way for that dig, and I need to throw it. And he was just able to do it, and Yakko, to be honest, let him do it. Yakko was like, opened up the door for Triple Crit's win con, and was able to just bring it all the way home and played it really well.
I think what I really liked about that battle was Triple Crit, he put away the Bastiodon, he put away the Lickitung as well, and he went for it with those higher attack mons, and he absolutely played aggressive. I think when you get to that point where you're a little bit behind in a final, your back's against the wall and you've really got to go and reach deep and go, okay, what am I going to bring? I'm going to play aggressive, going to change it up. He's actually changed the pace of the game, perhaps surprised Yako a little bit. Nerves might be coming into play a little bit as well. And it was really exciting to see that change up. I'm really pleased. And I think, excited to see what they bring out in the next one, Steve.
Oh, absolutely. And you're right. It was a big change up. That was the first time that Crit in 9 games had led with Gligar. So potentially throwing Yako off a little bit. So let's see how they adapt going to game number 5, which could be the final game of the regional championship tournament. If Yako wins this, he becomes the Melbourne champion. If Triple Crit wins this, we go to a bracket reset and a brand new game 5. So let's go in and see what they do decide to bring in the leads. And I actually, this is my bad. This is the same battle. So this is, ignore this one. We're actually going to be going into the grand finals, game number 5. Now, with the Lickitung into the Pelipper. Yako bringing this out of absolutely nowhere. The first time in 10 games that he even uses this Pelipper, and it's in the lead up against this Lickitung, and we can see that it is Gligar and Nilape in the back. Claire, this Pelipper is actually looking really strong up against Triple Crit's team. I'm a little bit worried for him.
Goodness, this was definitely something that's a change up. Like we said, I was wondering when we would see the Pelipper or if we'd see it at all, and it has built up so much energy, and it's going to really take a chunk out of this Lickitung now. Oh, Lickitung shielded. Okay, Triple Crit picked that it was most likely that he would see the Hurricane. Yako swapping now to his Shadow Gligar, which won't really appreciate these body slams from Triple Crit, and they'll come thick and fast. Crit going back to his Lickitung, a bit of a comfort zone thing, and it's obviously, anchoring the team really well for him and going to set him up well against his Shadow Gligar. Oh, and bringing his Gligar to catch the Aerial Ace, so we know it can tank one. Not a bad move there, saving the Lickitung for something else, and catching the dig, amazing. Okay, that was fantastic play by Triple Crit. Absolutely, back against the wall, aggressive play, and trying to get the advantage here through his skill and completely aggressive change up to his play style. He's got an Aerial Ace there. He's going to build up as much energy as he can and throw that to take out Jakobovich's Gligar.
Yeah.
See what Jakobovic decides to do next.
Yeah, he lets the Gligar go down. He's still got both of his shields and his 2 Pokemon in the back. That Pelipper could potentially come in for a little bit of farm against this Gligar. He is gonna go for that. He's gonna have to burn a shield against this Aerial Ace because Pelipper, another Pokemon not exactly known for being bulky, so this Aerial Ace would definitely hurt. So shielding up there, and is now probably gonna go for the full wing attack down and have a ton of energy to go into whatever Triple Crit brings here. It is gonna be the Lickitung, which is gonna be able to take a lot of this energy pretty well. We've been talking about it all day about a Pokemon that is essentially just your 3rd, 4th, and 5th shields in this game, and now going to go for the Body Slam to try and KO this Pelipper. So I guess the question now becomes, what does Yako have in the back, and is it worth preserving? And Yako says yes, whatever it is, it's going to be good, and it's the Whiscash. So it is now going to be up to Whiscash to take out the Nilape and the Lickitung. And as we said a little bit earlier, Nilape needs to land the Shadow Ball to be able to win this matchup. So I think it is all going to come down to whether Triple Crit goes for the bait or not, and whether Yako shields it or not. And we're seeing, after farming up a ton of energy, that he's going for the Ice Punch straight away. So does Yako shield? Does he take the bait? And he does! Oh my gosh. This is dire for Jakobovic now, because now I feel like Triple Crit can potentially push through this Whiscash, even taking a Scald.
Yeah, absolutely. He got the attack debuff, but it doesn't matter. This Ice Punch will still do a lot to Whiscash, being the Shadow variant. And I think Triple Crit has played that really cleverly, realising that he can do so much damage with his Annihilate, and the counters adding up against the Shadow Whiscash. And there we go. The phone goes down. He's taken out the Shadow Whiscash and has taken that 5th battle, Steve.
Yeah, really pushing it. So they've already played 10 games now. Jakobovic taking out the first set 3-2. Now going to the grand finals. Triple Crit taking out 3-2 to reset the bracket, which means that we are going to be going into another set of 5 with these 2 titans going at it. And, if I'm being honest, Claire, I'm just really glad that we got to see the Pelipper action. I was really glad that came out.
Pelipper as well. It's a real favourite of mine in this format. Perhaps hasn't been showcased quite so much in the Open Great League meta of late. However, it can just build up so much energy, and we did see Yako use that really, really well. It just perhaps wasn't in the best or most favourable scenario in that battle. But it was great to see him bring something different and try and switch it up. Potentially that could have worked really well for him, particularly coming into such a critical time with that final deciding battle. Sometimes when you're doing show 6, pick 3, you can win a decider just by bringing something in that wasn't expected and surprising your opponent and having them not plan for it. If you haven't brought it for the last 9 battles, why would you suddenly bring it now? So great thinking by Yako. I can understand his thinking there. But Triple Crit, like I said, back against the wall and absolutely punching as much as he can, literally, with that Annihilate to take out that last one.
Oh yeah, like that's just absolutely on the money. And now we're here. Now we're into the grand finals bracket reset. We've got another potentially 5 battles up for grabs. All of it, like Zoe been an absolute champ, holding the camera all the way through. And mad shout out to debbiepebble, who is also on the other side, but we've just ended up using the one side of the footage here. But Trotter, Mikey, I mean, we're in for another set. It's set 3 now.
It's 10-10, right? It's dead even. 10-10. Oh, 5-5.
Almost there.
5-5. Yeah. So we're even. So like these guys are the best battlers. And I really actually love the point you made about that Pelipper switch up, because the only problem with the Pelipper switch up was that it was against Lickitung. If it was against either the other 2 backup Pokemon, Yako probably just wins from there. So now that's, even though Crit won that battle, he's actually thinking. He's got to think a lot more in these next 3, 4, 5, however many battles we go through here. How is these change-ups? Because Yako's been so consistent, running the same line of 3 again and again and again. I think Triple Crit said it in chat. He was kind of bored with battling because it's the same few things. So we're going to see how that's going to change in this next set, the last set, the championship set.
Yeah, exactly. We'll
championship set on a bracket reset. Let's go.
All right, throwing it to you guys.
It's really interesting. I don't think we need too much time to look at their teams because we've now seen them in 2 sets of 5 already. But it's really interesting talking to Jakobovic and Triple Crit after the battles. They have probably scrimmed as much against each other as they have against anybody in the community because they're both local to each other. They've been playing for the same amount of time. So they know how each other play and they have to do something usually a little bit left field in order to get ahead. So I'm really keen for us to have a look at these battles as they unfold to see if anything different is going to happen or whether they're going to play similar to how they've played the previous 2 sets.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of that Charger Bug from Triple Crit. Just with that Gligar and Whiscash, it feels so hard to bring. But there's still 4 other Pokemon. It's not just there's those 2, there's 4 others. So will we see the same sort of pattern where we're getting more Lickitung mirrors and the Gligar, or are we going to see a swap up? Looking forward to this final set. Let's see if Warcase can get over the line. And it is the bug, but it doesn't land. Charger Bug does not land. And we go straight into that Gligar mirror. And Jakobovic is staying in, getting to the Aerial Ace before Triple Crit. And will they dip out first or will Jakobovic stay in? Wow, that does a lot of damage. And choosing to stay in here. And Alistair or Triple Crit brings... Oh, he's got a big thumb. I'll give him that.
Yeah, he's completely covering the screen there. Really appreciate it. Great for us viewers and those of us that are watching at home. I think that the reason that Yako must be staying in here, we must be looking at having Whiscash in the back here for Jakobovic. That's the only reason I can think that he'd be staying in this matchup here to try and win alignment. And so I think that we are in for a Shadow Cash sweep in the end game there. Triple Crit is brought in... I think he's brought in Charger Bug here. A little bit difficult to see. I think that this might just be an Aerial Ace that comes through, but let's wait and see. Yep, Aerial Ace comes through, does a fair bit of neutral damage against a Charger Bug. And I don't know, is he going for a full farm down here with Volt Switch? Very aggressive play from Triple Crit here.
It does appear, yeah. In Willy Shield, that's a lot of energy just to let go from here. It does let it go in the Aerial Ace, but it survives. Oh, and you're right, there's the Whiscash. So we do have that Whiscash in the back. I believe these are going to be X-Scissors that are being thrown here. Will he get to a second X-Scissor? Oh, no, he swapped out. He's banked that energy and brought the Ape in to try and counter down this Whiscash. Now, this is the problem here for Triple Crit because Scalds can come out. That debuff will really hamper and is choosing... Oh, it shields the Mud Bomb. Mud Bomb bait
Yeah,
by
that's
Jakobovic.
really smart bait there by Yakko, and really smart play by Triple Crit to swap out and still have energy on that Charger Bug, because he knows that there is potential for Skull to debuff, and he doesn't want to be left with Ape trying to sweep completely debuffed. Now, Charge Bug is resisting these counters here. He is going to have to start shielding sooner or later, and let's see, he's probably going to be going straight for a Shadow Ball here. Let's see if he's going to be able to land a Shadow Ball. He's throwing the Ice Punch first, and his switch time is going to get pretty close to coming up here. So I wonder whether he's going to aim to try and catch this next X Scissor. Yep, you can see he's tapping towards it. Not enough time. I think that we might be seeing a discharge coming through here from Jakobovic. Discharge lands almost enough to take it out, and he's transferred the energy, transferred the damage from that Volt Switch onto his Charger Bug, but not quite enough. Very, very tough lead, and tough to come out of that lead. He was able to read what the team was doing in the back, but he was in a really, really difficult spot having Bug on the Gligar.
Yeah, not where you want your Bug to be. But I mean, now this changes the dynamic, right? Because he did exactly what we thought he might do, bring in the Bug, but it was like ABA mud or ABA ground, I guess we can't really call Gligar a mud boy. So Jakobovic bringing that in, had the Bug in the middle. So again, I almost feel like we're going to see Triple Crit lean back into that Azu potentially, just to that neutral Whiscash play, neutral or positive play against the Gligar. But it's tricky, right? It's tricky which way you want to go when you're doing these battles.
Absolutely. I think it almost looks like Jakobovic is bringing team comps here because he's trying to scare the Bastiodon away and keep it on the bench. And we may potentially see the same line again, and then just playing to try and get ahead on shields and then use Shadow Cash to sweep is what's looking like his most consistent play at present. I think that the experiment with Pelipper was fun in the previous game, but I feel like it's probably a little bit dangerous to bring it when you have the potential of Charger Bug from Triple Crit coming through.
Yeah, that Charger Bug was going to be 5 Volt Switches, I think, until Pelipper's dead. So
Yeah.
It's not pleasant.
No, definitely not.
And then
Let's go into game two, and let's go into game two, and let's see what they're going to what they're bringing and what their lines are.
Fantastic.
And to begin with, well, we've seen this matchup before. We know that a Bomber Snow just going straight Icy Wind can take this victory here against the Lickitung and go straight for the Icy Wind. Very consistent play here from Yakko. We sort of know what he's going to do, but it doesn't mean that you can stop it. So that first one comes through. Is he going to throw the Body Slam straight away? Yeah, he throws the Body Slam after a couple of Powder Snows, and this isn't going to do a huge amount of damage, but enough to start chipping away.
Definitely enough to start chipping away. And you almost wish if you're going to lose this matchup, you could lose it by more, because Triple Crit has the 8 there. He's going to want as many counters in his favor as possible, because odds are there's a Shadow Gligar in the back that's going to come straight into that 8 once this matchup's done. But or alternatively, are we actually going to see a bit of a lick down here with a shield on Triple Crit's side?
I'm not sure. It's the question of whether he wants to go for the alignment here or whether he wants to take shield parity. If he goes down the shield and it is Gligar in the back, he could be in a really tough spot. Unfortunately, he didn't go for the Body Slam in time to be able to hit it, but he's able to get 1 counter's worth of energy on Annihilate. And here comes the Shadow Gligar. He has the Ice Punch that's going to do massive, super effective damage. He throws it almost straight away. And we'll see if the shield comes up from Yakko right here or not. He shields.
Shield.
There's
and
a shield.
CMP.
And it was CMP on the Aerial Ace. Understanding that the Annihilate has a lot of strong endgame matchups against Jakobovic's team. And he's going to try and catch the Aerial Ace. That was an amazing play from Yakko there. He actually paused before he threw anything, so that he didn't waste energy coming through, and he was able to continue building up energy. I think he was potentially worried about that Aerial Ace getting caught onto a Bastiodon. So really smart play there from Jukovic. And we're seeing aerial ace after aerial ace coming out here. Is Triple Crit going to shield this up, or is he going to let it come through? What do you think, Trotter?
Yeah, he has let this next aerial ace come through. And the only unfortunate part is the extra wing attacks that are coming afterwards here is going to make it really tricky. And he's going to be forced to shield because he will be getting... Oh, and a switch and a catch. The Crit, hold your phone still. What was caught? It was caught on something. We have not seen that Pokemon in the back. I would assume it's Whiscash based on previous play. And it is the Daddy Cash.
So the Shadow Cash has it here. And I think Crit right now needs to be either praying that he's not going to get debuffed by a Skull, but I think the smart play from Jakobovic here is going to be going for double Mud Bomb. I think we're going to see a double Mud Bomb come through. And if Crit is looking, he's going to throw this Ice Punch here. This is going to come right down to the wire here, I believe. I don't think the Gligar has enough energy for an immediate aerial ace. So the question is Annihilate going to get to this Ice Punch before he gets to an aerial ace? He does. Oh, what a fantastic endgame there. This Ice Punch is going to take out the Gligar, and there is Triple Crit snatching a victory from the jaws of defeat by only a couple of HP.
Yeah, the key there for Triple Crit was to throw on a charged attack priority there against the Whiscash, knowing that the Annihilate would beat it, and took it out into Ice Punches. And then, yeah, just had enough there. Didn't have that much HP, but just had enough energy to get to that Ice Punch to take out the Gligar. So we're all tied up at 1-1. Fantastic. And it was double sorry, I keep saying Mud Boys, double ground Pokemon that I don't actually see Jukovic changing. I don't think he's going to change from that formula one bit.
It sort of feels like it is his strongest line, but the question is now with Triple Crit, is it time to crack the egg, the big bunny egg of Azumarill, and bring it back into the field? Because in that line there, so long as Abomasnow is not landing onto Azumarill, Azu is going to be very strong into both Gligar and into Shadow Cash. So this is the question, because they've done so many battles so far. What team of three are they going to look to bring? Is Yakko going to read that Azumarill's coming and bring the Charger Bug and a Abomasnow core, and then leave himself open to Bastiodon? Or is he going to continue with what's working? I think we know that Yakko likes to continue with what's working, so the question is, are we going to see that again? And I'm excited. Let's go into Game 3 and let's see if he continues with this same double ground core or not.
Oh, and it is a big
change. And there's the Charger Bug.
The bug lead. And this is great for the Azu in the back. The Azu in the back, we're almost automatically assuming Jukovic will have those two ground Pokemon. So this is going to set up Triple Crit here for a good play, but we don't know. You don't know what's coming. And lands the Discharge. That does a good amount of damage to this Annihilate. And Triple Crit throwing the Shadow Ball. This will put this Charger Bug very, very low.
Yeah, absolutely. And really clever play here by Triple Crit. He understands if he can get shield advantage and he's able to get this Charger Bug out of the way as well, you're probably looking at an Azu sweep here. So long as Jukovic is not playing with Abomasnow in the back here, you have a really strong position for your Azumarill. And we're going to see what's happening here. If he's staying in with Shadow Gligar, you have to imagine that Shadow Cash is in the back.
Yeah, you would think it's an instant pivot. But, I mean, it could be a deliberate play to do the old I swap, you swap technique. And he might have that Shadow Bomb or the Abomasnow, in the back there. I think this shield, if we see a shield here from Jukovic, but Jukovic gets to another charge move ahead of Triple Crit. So maybe Triple Crit getting a little bit greedy there. And in comes an Aerial Ace. And we're almost at 2 Ice Beams. And here comes the first one. And we assume...
Is it going to go shielded?
It's one of those tricky questions, or do you just bring in the Charger Bug that has a little bit of energy? Let's see.
And this is going to be close. Is the bubble down going to work in time? No, he's bringing out the Shadow Whiscash, and Crit's going for the play rough here, so he must think that he's only going to be able to get the one bit of damage off here, the one charge attack, so he's going for just a little bit more damage. The shield comes through.
That is big.
And is he going to go for a mud shot down?
Oh, gets it! That's a huge mud shot down without being able to throw that energy. All that energy is essentially wasted on Triple Crit's side and forcing to shields. And now Scald debuffs. Do they come into play? The debuff does come into play. First one, debuffed. Second one?
Well, let's see what happens here. He's still got a second shield. He's used that second shield straight away. Is there going to be another debuff? No debuff this time around. If he goes and he races straight for the dig's going to do massive neutral damage here. It's only been debuffed once, but Shadow Gligar still hits very, very hard. There is a little bit of energy left, and there is still a little bit of health left on that Charger Bug. It's going to be another Scald here, you'd assume. And this is where Shadow Whiscash comes into play, because if you look, so much damage done on that Shadow Scald against the Gligar. He's put the phone away. We know that this is going to take out from the Charger Bug with the X-Scissor, and that is game 3 in the bag. And now we only have one win for Jakobovic away until he is crowned the Melbourne Regional Champion. But Triple Crit has managed to keep these matches very, very close regardless. So it'll be very, very tight to see what happens in Game 4. What's your read for their teams coming into Game 4, Trotter?
Oh, it's so hard. I do think we might see Triple Crit play it safe and bring that Lickitung back in just with that supreme bulk and neutral play, just to sort of give himself the time to, I guess, regather these thoughts, get himself into a position where he's going to be comfortable. But I mean, neither player needs to change much. They just need to execute their plays. You know, in that lead matchup, if Triple Crit was able to bait the Ice Punch and get the shield and land the Shadow Ball instead of what he did vice versa, the game is totally flipped on its head. It's a total different ball game from there. So there's nothing anyone's doing wrong. They're just somebody else is doing the opposite side, is doing just a little bit better with their shields and their calls and all of that sort of thing.
Absolutely. I think that we might, as you said, we might see a Lickitung come in for Triple Crit. I also think a Shadow Gligar in the lead is looking like a pretty strong play for him. We haven't seen a Abomasnow in several games now. And if we are going to potentially see a Charger Bug coming in through the lead, or we're going to see even a Lickitung or Shadow Whiscash in a 2-shield scenario against Shadow Gligar. Gligar is in a pretty strong spot there because the wing attacks do add up. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what he goes with there. I think that we're going to see Azu coming back as well, because that Azu, if it's in the right spot, is going to have a really good time into this game number 4. So let's bring the game number 4 into play right now, and let's see what they lead with here. It is Azu into Lickitung, not where you want your Azu to be, is it, Trotter?
It's not ideal, but it's not the worst. And here we go. And the swap into the Lickitung. So yeah, Triple Crit building up a little bit of energy on the Azu and then getting out, because odds are we've got double ground Pokemon in the back. So here comes the first move coming in from Jakobovic. Now, will Jakobovic play this like Triple Crit did against Rocket Claire, where they stayed in the matchup? And it appears to be that way so far. So getting off 2 body slams here. And before Triple Crit has thrown any moves, I would assume no shields from anyone coming in just yet. Do we see a swap or not? No, it looks like they're going to play this one out.
So he's staying in. And so this is an interesting team read here. Is he staying in because he wants to try and get the Triple Crit's Lickitung as low as possible? Or is he staying in because he knows that he has a Charger Bug in the back or an Abomasnow in the back to handle the Azu? I know that we've seen double ground a lot, and the question is he going to stay there? So we've got more and more body slams coming through, one after the other, getting both of these Pokemon quite low. This is actually quite good for Triple Crit that this is happening, because this means that the switch timers are now back to alignment. And the question is, who is going to blink first? Is it going to be Triple Crit or is it going to be Jakobovic?
Yeah, it does not appear like either player really wants to blink. And I almost feel like Jakobovic was trying to get his Licky as low as possible, so whatever else comes in the back won't gain that much energy, because it is a really, really close match thus far. And yes, Jakobovic able to maintain switch advantage here, and here come some bubbles.
So potentially Jakobovic thought that maybe there was an Annihilate in the back and he didn't want to be susceptible to a counter down. And if that's the case, then we might be looking at the double grounds in the back again. And let's see what he's brought in. If he's bringing in, was that Whiscash or was that Gligar? It looks like it could have been a wing attack. Is Whiscash coming through here? Okay. So he goes straight for the play rough immediately there. And Whiscash is building up energy. It's going to get to a Mud Bomb before Azu is going to get to the Scald. Is going to get to the Ice Beam, sorry. What is Whiscash throwing here? Throwing the Mud Bomb straight away. Smarter play. It's going to get a little bit more energy. Triple crit, going for the play rough, trying to do just that little bit more damage. And are we going to see a Gligar mirror in the back here? We are seeing a Gligar mirror in the back, but importantly, Triple Crit's Azu has got enough health to be able to take one aerial lace before it goes down.
Yeah, you think Triple Crit is using the first shield up here straight away. Interesting. We do know that Jakobovic really can't afford to take any damage in this matchup because the super effective bubbles will be able to do quite a little bit of damage. Now, will Triple Crit use his shield here? I think this is the sort of really decisive moment in this match. And it does look like he doesn't want to touch it. Oh, he has shielded. No, he's chosen to use his shield there and just going for fast move damage here now.
Hits the shield when the timer hits 1. He's throwing the aerial ace straight away. I think that Yakko has to hit his shield as well. And we're looking very close. The switch timers are coming up. He's going to throw this here. This isn't going to be quite enough to take it out. And I think that we are going to see Triple Crit is going to hit his aerial ace in time to be able to throw. Yakko hasn't been able to swap in time there. I thought that potentially we could see a sack swap coming up. This is going to do enough that it's going to be one bubble away.
Yeah, there it is. And it's the Whiscash, and it's just a fast move beatdown. Triple Crit ties it up 2-2. Oh my gosh, we're at 2-2. We're down to the last game. It is 7-7. These guys have played 14 battles against each other. And it all comes down to this very, very last battle.
These winners finalists meeting up and matching up in as many battles as you physically can do in a regional tournament. There is no possibility to do any more, and there is nothing that has split them so far. So the question is, coming into a decisive Game 5 in the bracket reset for the grand final, what do you do? Do you go with what's worked before? Do you mix it up and go something different? Trotter, what do you think that they do?
I don't think they change anything. I think both of these guys respect each other enough that just coming down to some lucky change would be very unlikely. I think we're going to see definitely Whiscash, Gligar, and probably Lickitung against Azu, Gligar, and Lickitung. And whatever combination they come out, that's what they come out as. But I'm so pumped to see what these two friends of ours, they're no longer battlers here in Australia. They're all friends. And, oh, man, just Steve, bring it on. My blood pressure.
Let's go Game 5. Let's go Game 5.
Oh,
we have Bastion Dom into Gligar.
What is this?
So I was talking to Triple Crit on the Saturday about this matchup because Shadow Gligar is everywhere and he brought the Bastion on. And the whole thing is here, and he lets the dig go. The Bastiodon, when it can get to that second Stone Edge, is actually in a really strong spot against Gligar. So it'll be interesting to see how Jakobovic plays in answer to this. He lets that go. Letting that first dig go was a big play from Triple Crit.
Oh, and lets the second one go here as well. Choosing just to get a little bit of energy ahead on whatever Pokemon Triple Crit uses. But you got to think that running Gligar, there's going to be some sort of Azu answer in the back for Jakobovic.
Yeah. Interesting here. Okay, so he gets the bubble down. What's going to come in now? It is a Charger Bug. And we are seeing that both of these players have changed up their alignment slightly based on what they've been doing thus far. The Charger Bug is just throwing Volt Switches. Everybody get on the red bus. And Yakko's going to take us to school, show us how X-Scissor works, and he starts firing off these X-Scissors, Volt Switches and X-Scissors, one after the other into the Lickitung. I imagine that we're probably going to see that other ground type, the Shadow Cash in the back, but we'll see when he decides that he's going to bring it out. We've got a Body Slam coming through here, going to do a bit of neutral damage. What's the play now, Trotter? What are you seeing?
Oh, wow. No one using any shields. This is going to be very tight. Unfortunately, Azu is going to need to use the shields. So, yeah, I do like this. The Lick's damage will quickly out up here. And potentially after getting this last shield, you only then need to yeah, you might be able to go for a bubble down if they have to throw another charge move. So I do like this play from Triple Crit here. It is super close and does get the shield here. But do we get it? No, there's no possibility for a Volt Switch down. So they're going to have to throw here. And this is potentially going to be more energy on the Azumarill. Azumarill does have a little bit of energy in the back. This is going to be very, very tight.
And what's going to come through here? And it's going to be a Whiscash. So we have Azu, the original king of Great League PvP, going head-to-head with the Shadow Whiscash, a brand new favourite in Great League PvP. Lands the play rough first up, just going for that extra little bit of damage. And we'll see, is he going for a Mud Bomb straight away, or is he going to play to try and get a Scald and get the debuff? He goes immediately for Mud Bomb. What a tight end game we're looking at here. Building up a little bit of energy. Is Triple Crit going to throw? No, he's just going for fast move damage so far. Is there going to be another Mud Bomb coming through? Here comes the shield. Call the end game here, Trotter. What are you saying?
Oh, he's got through there. But this is not enough to KO the Azu. This is super duper close. If Triple Crit can double up on Ice Beams here, he can take out both Pokemon. Has he got double Ice Beam or is he just short? I can't see the energy. This is driving me insane. Here comes this Ice Beam, which will KO this Whiscash. Does he have the double? Oh, no, there's a shield. There's a shield. He was one short. And wait, is that a catch? Did he swap and catch?
He's landing the Ice Beam on the Whiscash here, and then it comes down to this final matchup right now. Is the bubble going to KO the Charger Bug, or is the Volt Switch going to do it? 3, 2, 1. Oh, the Azu goes down.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
we have our champion, Jakobovic. What an amazing finish to an incredible marathon of battles there.
Oh, these trainers have laid it all out here. There was so little between them the entire way through. And unfortunately for Triple Crit, Jakobovic just had that little bit of the advantage in there. He lined up the Pokemon correctly. And even with that, it was one move away. And congratulations to our champ, Jakobovic, and Triple Crit for, my goodness, getting through an incredible series and an incredible regional championships.
Just sensational. Just sensational. Could not have possibly played any more battles if they wanted to. And even with 15 battles, coming down to the game 5, it still comes down to one turn of difference right there. And what an amazing showing from both of those players. That was definitely a day 2 worth casting and worth watching.
Oh yeah, I don't think that there's any dispute here that not only is Jakobovic just one of the best, if not the best, in all of Australia, but Triple Crit really just pushing Jakobovic so hard, absolutely making him work for it, and just proving that he is also one of the best out there. He may not have qualified for Worlds in the previous season, but he is showing that he is a World quality contender, and he will absolutely be pushing for it with the upcoming Perth Regional Championship and Locals, because these guys both deserve to be at Worlds, and it's just crazy. Game 15 is not something you see very often. I think that we actually may have even seen the same thing back at Melbourne 2022 regional championships with Rick Flareon versus Valiant Vish back in the day. Or at least it was close to that, because these guys are just they're just so good. And it wasn't even one of those situations where it's just RPS all the way. It's if you land the Whiscash and my Bastiodon in the lead, then game's won. Why are we even watching this? All of these games were just such skilled games. There were really lots of tiny little swaps and ability to maneuver out of matchups that could have been really bad. And I think they both played their hearts out and should both be incredibly proud for this performance.
Yeah, that duo, that double ground. Sorry, Claire?
Steve, I'm so glad you included the hug at the end, because what I really loved about that tournament, and we're seeing it in a lot of the regionals that have been broadcast from around the world lately, is the camaraderie in our community, and the fact that a lot of these battlers who are playing each other have played quite a bit at grassroots level. We've started to all face off in these live tournaments as well. And you do develop, such a good friendship, because we've all got very similar interests. We all love the game. We all want to showcase our skills, and we all want the best player to win. And to have these opportunities at these regional tournaments is just so amazing. There's some fantastic prize money up for grabs, and just the glory, the play mat, the medal, the recognition for all the hard work that you've put in over the years. And to do that beside a friend or against a friend and to have a hug at the end, it's just fantastic. So I'm really glad that you were able to show that on the stream, because definitely being there in person and all the support for each other and the camaraderie and the good sportsmanship was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It really just feels like the Australian spirit in so many ways as well. It's just like coming all together, hanging out. And I think I was talking about this back at the Brisbane Regional Championships, but most of the conversations happening around weren't necessarily about Pokemon Go PvP. It was just about life, about hanging out, about just being with everyone. And it's just really I'm really glad that we do have these few opportunities a year to sort of all come together, hang out, and of course crown a grand champion with Yakko coming away. He's had the OCIC crown, he has the Brisbane 2024 crown, and now he's got the Melbourne 2024 crown as well. 3 Australian tournaments in a row. It is hard to put him in his place, it seems clear. And I think Yakko is absolutely going to be a name that everyone is going to be watching heading forward into the World Championships. And he's already said that he's not going to be competing in Perth, so he's not going to go for the full Aussie three-peat. So at least he's leaving an invite for someone who comes first in Perth. But regardless, I really want to thank the 3 of you for coming on to sort of help us go through these battles. Claire, Trot, and Mikey, because these have really been a lot of fun. I'm really grateful that we've been able to show off these battles. So also a mad shout out to ZoëTwoDots for providing most of the footage today with such a good camera. And she just had to be in that position where she was bracing the camera against herself to try and hold it steady the whole way through. But of course, also Shadow, AgentMagikarp, and even debbiepebble. While we didn't actually end up using her footage, she recorded 18 of the battles, I think, on her phone as well. So really, really grateful to all of these guys for going through the trenches to stay there for what could have been a really short day 2, but Triple Crit and Yakko made sure it was not, and we went the absolute longest it could have gone. A statistic from Bamboss was that over 2/3 of the battles that we've just seen today were Triple Crit versus Yakko. It was 15 out of 22 battles. It is what it is when you've got these 2 titans throwing. But also, one more massive thank you is to you guys for watching. Whether you're watching now live on Twitch or you're watching the VOD later, it really means a lot to sort of have you there supporting the Australian PvP scene. Obviously, we haven't had an official stream for a regional yet. Hopefully we get there one day, but while this is sort of the best we can do with the little camera over people's shoulders, it really does mean a lot that you guys have sort of all come out to watch it, to see these really hype battles. These are not trivial battles. This is stuff that deserves to be up on that main stage. So until we get an actual stream, I guess expect these streams at the very least. We'll do what we can, I suppose, but maybe one day. But I guess with that said, we'll go, final words. Claire, of course, congratulations on the big 3rd place finish in what is the largest regional championship that we've had in the country. So really an incredible effort from you. So, last words, where we can find you, what's your Twitter/X. Really appreciate you being here.
Oh, thank you, Steve. Obviously my Twitter is Rocket Claire, so very straightforward. And look, I'm really thrilled that you invited me to join you today. It was something that was a very exciting experience for me, and I felt quite immersed in all of the battles. So really happy to be able to help showcase those and explain to everyone, I guess, our thoughts and give some feedback on the teams. And I've had a really great time. Had a fantastic time last weekend. Like I said, really, really thrilled with how it went. Looking forward to competing again. Can't wait.
And I look forward to seeing it. And I'm sure we'll see you in the Perth regional recap at the very least as well, hanging out in that day. Well, maybe not day 2, but at least, a top 4. We'll see how Perth goes. But
hoping to make it to Steve, yes.
Yeah, I by maybe not. I don't know, but by maybe not day 2, I just mean Perth is probably a day 1 event. But yeah, Claire confirmed for Perth, obviously. I mean, with that many championship points up her sleeve, come on.
I've got to try and get there. It's a long way from Tasmania.
Yeah, it's a trek. It's a trek for sure, but it'll be fun regardless. It'll be well with it. And Dr. Trotter, the only man who couldn't make it out for the Melbourne Regional Championship, but, you know, only because Triple Crit was so lazy that he wanted to do 15 battles instead of FaceTiming you the battles. Regardless, you know, where can you find you? All the rest. Happy days.
Yeah. So everything on just Dr. Trotter on Twitter and Twitch. And yeah, thanks everyone. Thank you mostly to the Australian community. I think we've done a lot of the work ourselves over the years, and we'll continue to do as much as we can to keep our community going and keep these battles at this level. So I just look forward to seeing where we go from here as not only our local communities, but as our country continues to go and move in what we can do in PvP. And yeah, can't wait to get some live streams at these regional championships if possible.
Please just let us make it happen. We've got the offers out there, but maybe one day. But Mikey Morgs, a man who also, you know, going home with some championship points from the Melbourne Regional Championship, but also happy to have you here to give that, you know, big brain insight inside of the propeller hat that's been going on. But, you know, where can we find you? The Twitter that you're so... Well, actually, I was going to make a joke, but you're actually quite active on Twitter these days. So where can we find you?
Yeah, it's just Mikey Morgs 22. I'm not very creative with any of my names. But thank you for having me. It's my first time on the microphone today. I have just noticed, thanks to Nonut93 on Twitch, that I look a bit like I'm Inspector Gadget with my helicopter hat. You know, because it is a bit hot up here in Queensland. So, yeah, I needed that. And yeah, what a great series of battles. What a great regional. Jukovic, will anyone beat him in the next coming years? I don't know. We'll see. He'll probably retire at the end of the season and then show up at the first regional again like he did last time. But I'm hoping he's going to make some real waves at Honolulu in Hawaii and at 180 over 250 championship points. I'm hoping that I'll be there to watch him live as well. But thank you, everyone. Thanks all the viewers that watched today. And thank you, Dr. Trotter, for, you know, being a good partner for me today. First time casting, so it was great fun.
All you, buddy. All you.
Yeah, no, I mean, happy to have both of you guys, and Trotter as well, sort of all coming in for this, and hopefully, you know, as we go, we're going to build up like the biggest roster of Aussie casters as well. That there's going to be no choice but to have a stream here just to show off all of the raw casting talent, I'm sure. But yeah, with that said, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to stay tuned for the Perth Regional Championship as well, coming up in April, just over 2 months from now. But with that said, I think that's all from us. So we'll, you know, raid off into the distance to someone who has also been a supporter of Australian PvP, that being world champion. It's Axon. It's always, you know, always coming through for these Aussie streams. Always throwing out his support. Is, you know, even just retweeting the Australian stuff. It's really, you know, it really does mean a lot that everyone has been so kind out there and supporting. But with that said, we'll just have to wait and see how the season does show a close out. And good luck to everyone in the Australian community for the local tournaments that are coming up starting in March. So we've got a lot of the season left. So we'll see how we go. But either way, see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.